What is going on? What's up, good people? We are back in the building. I could already see conversation going on in the chat. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button as you come on in the building. I see some things. I'm always starting the show and still not even 100% ready. I'm still dotting the I's and crossing T's, which y'all could see the thumbnail. So you already know we about to have a good conversation here. Somebody already hit the thumbs down. I like that. Bring it on. Bring it on. I like that already. Somebody already hit the thumbs down. We're about to have a good conversation. I do see that still making a few clicks here before I roll the intro. I do see a good conversation already going on in the chat. Somebody asked, why does a black man have the Confederate battle flag? People are asking good questions. Somebody said Uncle Ruckus has entered the chat. Ricky Manor enters the chat and says, hopefully I can change your mind before the end of it all. Queen Q says, morning, Ricky Manor. I'll keep an open mind to this conversation, but I will be doing my research afterwards. I'd like to give a round of applause for that right there. That is what it's about. It's about learning. It's about educating ourselves. It's about getting down to the truth, and good people can disagree. So we're going to have the conversation. It won't be all about the Confederate flag, but it's hard to do an interview with a black man with a Confederate flag behind him and not mention it. So, we do got to talk about that. So I just went on and just stared it right in the face, put it in the title. So yeah, we will end up talking about that. But strap on in. Let's get ready to go. Let's roll. Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mumia Obsidian Ali. You know who I am. I need no introduction, right? And you're listening to the Grown Man Hour with my man Bernard Riley, heard weekdays right here on YouTube. What do you think about that? How about that? Now let's get back on with the show. Thank you.
Good people. You know what? I need 30 more seconds because there's a light that I need to turn off. So bear with me. It ain't even going to be 30 seconds. It's going to be about 15 seconds. I'll be right back. Well, damn, I took the whole 30. Might as well take the whole 30. My camera a little different, but oh well, now I'm tired. I'm running up and down stairs. Welcome everybody to the show. I see my guest is already down in the back chat. Going to be bringing him up momentarily while I'm sitting here trying to catch my breath from running up and down the stairs because I'm damn near 40. I need to lose some weight. I get tired fast now. But shout out to everybody who made it in bright and early. Queen Q in the building. We got so, that's your name? Out of those two things in your name, I hate when people have a YouTube name where they take two things, one of them good, one of them bad, and they just lump them together in the same name. One of those I'm good with. The other one I'm no big fan of. But I'm not telling you which one. No, just I like chicken. Hold the sodomy. Stoic one in the building. Shut up. I didn't even read what you said. He said, "Why does a black man have a Confederate battle flag?" Sodomy and chicken. Wow. Okay. Stoic one in the building says, "Morning BR in chat." Logan JJ in the building, calling Ricky Manor Uncle Ruckus already. Shout out to everybody that made it in bright and early. Says this should be interesting. Yes, I certainly think it will. I certainly think it will. And so without further ado, we're about to go ahead and get right into it and bring up my guest. Let me make sure my speaker is on. Y'all let me know if my audio get funny after I turn this speaker on, and then I'll go back to using my my little earwax buds. And so I'll go back to using those if my audio changes. Y'all let me know if I sound good. But without further ado, bringing up special guest, the man of the hour, Ricky Manor in the building. What's going on?
Good morning. Peace and love from South Carolina. How you doing today?
Man, I'm doing great. Glad to have you here. I found out about you through Mr. Palmer. From me being on his show, I think that's where you emailed me, and I found your content, and man, it's interesting. You're a very, very interesting guy. So I was like, I had to talk to you. I hope you didn't mind. Went on and put the Confederate flag in the title because I'm two ways on that. I personally don't care, but at the same time, it's hard to talk to a brother with a lot of Confederate flag behind him and just not mention it. Right. So I just said we're gonna go ahead and put it in the title. But y'all hold on that one. We're going to get into that one pretty soon. But shout out to my man Clue in the building. He says, let's hear him out first. Oh, yeah, we definitely going to hear him out first. I can guarantee y'all go check out his content. Y'all will like and agree with a lot of what this brother has to say. But the Confederate flag, I mean, we're looking at a black redneck here. Do you like that term or no?
I guess I can be considered that. I do go to NASCAR races a lot. And, you know, a lot of things that I do, some people would consider to be redneck, as far as like going hunting, love the outdoors. To me, some people would do a vacation in Hawaii. I love the Ozarks. So,
Okay. Yeah.
I'm a very outdoorsy person.
Yeah, that black redneck stuff. That's about right. That's about right. Shout out to Clue in the building with the Appreciate this super chat. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button. Let me make sure I'm knocking over my popcorn. That is still not enough. But let's do this as I'm still getting things ready to go, getting things set up. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Give us your background. I like to get the boring questions out the way first. Give us a little bit of your background, how you even got into doing this content. Actually, you can take us back even further. You can let us know what you was doing before you even started doing this type of content on the internet. Just give us a little bit of your background and just lead up into what got you on the internet engaging in these type of conversations.
Well, I first started by my YouTube channel used to be just boring stuff, and it was just like for local people, you know what I'm saying, in my area. I didn't think of like ever letting it blow up to talk, to use to build a platform out of it, to say the least. When I used to be a blogger, And one day, Tommy Sotomayor read one of my blogs that I wrote about him. And he got me on his show. Now, at the time, I was 475 pounds. Okay. We had we had a falling out, and the Soto Nation, they ripped me a new one.
I'm shocked. You had a falling out with Tommy Sotomayor. He never falls out with people.
So basically,
how could you fall out with such a calm, cool, collected guy who never flies off the handle? I don't know.
Oh, he flew off the handle at me that night because
what happened? You got to give us the details of that, man. What happened? I want all the. I'm sipping tea with my pinky finger out right now. I want all the tea. I want all the details. What happened?
All right, so let me build up to that real quick.
Mm-hmm.
A popular YouTuber back in the day, Dr. Bachman, that was a friend of mine, or she's still a friend of mine. She's the reason that I lost a lot of this weight. I met her through a movie producer that's also a friend of mine by the name of Ben Stewart. He wrote a movie called Chamatica. That's an awesome movie. If you guys haven't seen it, it's a documentary, and he writes a lot of spiritual stuff. So I'm into like spirituality as well. So through Ben, I met Samantha. Through Samantha, I met a guy by the name of Robbie Inkladesh. He was on the Tariq Nasheed show. He's the white Muslim from England. And then from there, I met a guy by the name of Rod Dawson, which me and him, when we met, it was just like, we clicked automatically. Mm-hmm. Rod Dawson was talking about a guy by the name of Tommy Sotomayor. And I was like, why would you say I would get along with Tommy Sotomayor? He says, just go check out his content. So one thing led to another. I was watching his content, and I was just like, it was a scene where he had gotten into an accident and he was cussing the lady out on the side of the road. That pissed me off. Yeah, that pissed me off. And I wrote a blog about Tommy Sotomayor, and Tommy Sotomayor read the blog and asked me to come on his show. Well, one thing.
Wait a minute. I remember that. That was you?
Yeah, that was me. I was a lot bigger then. They was calling me all kind of names. Fat Michael Jordan. They lit me up. So I'm not going to lie. I'm a humble man. Us Southerners, we're very humble, and I got off that show and I felt like about that big after seeing that comment section. I'm like, fuck, man, he lit me up, and it wasn't him. He lost his cool dealing with me because I started laughing while he was talking. The thing that made me laugh at him, because he said he paid $100,000 for a Denali. I'm in the car business. I would love to sell a Denali. Well, I was in the car business at the time. I would love to sell a Denali to anybody for $100,000. That means I got over on somebody. You know what I'm saying? But one thing led to another. I came back and talked to my friend Samantha about how I felt. Well, first I went to Robbie. I was like, damn, man, they lit me up. But and you're not supposed to let the internet follow you outside of your computer. When you hit the little red X and power off, it's supposed to be over.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because at the time, the reason it carried on to my outside life, I was a big man. I'm 6'7" and walking around 475 pounds. People used to look at me in the restaurants. They'll make, mean jokes. Or some people that saw me when, that knew me in my younger year would be like, damn, what happened to you? You got big. And I'm like, fuck. But, Samantha had told me, she says, if something's bothering you that bad, then don't blame that person or people that talk about you. Blame yourself, fix yourself. And so I went on, I went on a diet about 3 years ago. Stopped drinking alcohol, stopped consuming like sugary foods, refined sugars and whatnot. And I make exercise my routine. So days without exercise feels like days without taking a shower.
Wow.
So, and another thing that people ask me, well, damn, you hate your own people. Before we even get started, man, I've always been down for the cause. And that was before Black Lives Matter hijacked this fest. I've always been down for the cause. And people say, well, what do you do to give back to your community? Well, this diet that I developed that works for me, and it worked for so many other people, I give out free. And I said free, no charge at all, because I want to see our people live longer. Free nutritional advice. The way that our diet is very racist. you know, the fried foods, the slop that they put out there for us to consume, you know, is very racist. We don't supposed to be practicing the diet.
Explain how a diet can be racist.
Well, think about it. They introduced 4 food groups to us, you know, when we were in school. We don't supposed to be consuming pork. That's a big no-no. Fried chicken, no-no. If you like fried chicken, get an air fryer, because that was the hardest thing for me to get rid of.
Man, yeah, listen, you're talking to somebody. I just the Outback is one of my favorite restaurants, and they get they little the way they put the cheese and the bacon on the fries.
Oh
man,
poison.
I'm working on it. I actually talked to my audience about that. It's a like, I'm somebody who, like, right now I'm as big as I ever been, which I'm not that big, but still I used to be in really, really good shape. I got up to this size before, and then I lost the weight by just basically just what was it? No sugar, no carbs. I still had my beef. I would have my steak. I think I got pork out of it, but I'll have a little pork here and there. But basically just but yeah, just getting rid of the sugar, getting rid of the carbs. You know, just basically meat, vegetables, fruit. You know, that was how I did it. And something is going wrong right now. I'm trying to get back in the swing of things. So I may talk to you about the whole diet thing.
I would be more than happy to. And if it works for you, whatever you learn from me, you know what I'm saying? I learned this from Samantha, which, you know, I pass this advice on free of charge, because I like to see people's lives change for the better. You know what I'm saying? Like, when it comes down to something like our diets, and you would be surprised because you've been in shape before. So, you know, when you wake up in the morning, there's a different feeling you get. Like when I was 475 pounds, I'd wake up and curse the day, be like, man, fuck, got to get out of this bed, got to go to this job I don't like, and blah, 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 because I was in the car business at the time. So, yeah, it was a lot of, you know, things that circulated around my diet. But then when I got into shape, I feel a lot better now. And when I started like losing my weight, and started seeing the difference in the clothes that I was wearing and whatnot, that's when I decided that I wanted to do, you know, YouTube again. The first video that got a lot of views was last summer when the McMichaels killed Ahmaud Arbery. And I mean, just watching the way that he was slaughtered on the streets and the comment section that was in these videos, I was like, this shit right here. And then to see Brandon Tatum, you know, justify this. And I'm like, how can a man who used to be a cop that claims he knows the law put such bullshit out there? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is hateful.
Let me come clean. I was on the wrong side of that argument for a brief moment until I really got down with the law. But just basically, I looked at the first video, and the first video that came out when he got shot, because I was already on some the narrative that he was just a jogger. That wasn't necessarily what was happening. So I didn't understand the law. I thought that they were just trying to confront him in an open carry state. So yes, they had guns on them, and then he charged them. And so I was like, wait a minute, he charged them trying to take the gun. That's a fight to the death that, you know, you almost got to shoot somebody if they try to take your gun from you. Right. But once I understood the law that, hold on, you can't try to make a citizen's arrest and bring an extreme amount of force to a citizen's arrest when you didn't even witness somebody do the crime that you think. Right. So, but that's when I was like, okay, yeah, lock their ass up. Once I understood the law of it. But at first, I was on the wrong side of that argument for a while. I ended up recanting my position and taking the video down. I'm saying that now before people in my comment section try to come for me, because they will come for me if they, you know. But go ahead, carry on. I just wanted to clear that up, clear my name. I was on the wrong side of that one for a little bit.
So I did a video called "Fuck Brandon Tatum." No, fuck Officer Tatum, right?
I didn't watch that, but I saw it sitting there with like 10K views. I did see that.
Yes. And so a lot of people, you know, Tatum's squad came to his rescue. And I'm looking at it like, you know, when the mean comments didn't bother me, that's when I was like, I'm ready for this now. You know what I'm saying? So one thing led to another, and the biggest misconception that brothers like him give is that, you know, being a conservative means being racist. Or you have to sit around and shit talk your people all the time. No, it doesn't mean you got to shit talk your people. As a matter of fact, the dysfunction that goes on in our communities is a residual from the people that influenced America, melanated Americans, which are what we would call rednecks today. When they talk about redneck culture, everything you see that goes on in the melanated community that's a dysfunction are dysfunctions built from, or that stems from, what we would call redneck culture. Thomas Sowell said it the best when he wrote a book called Black Rednecks, White Liberals. If you haven't read that one, that's a good read. And basically, he was talking about how after and even during the slave days, you know, the Irish and the Highlands of Scotland were the Highland Scots were the ones that Black people had the influence with. And if you look at their behavior, even to this very day, it correlates with what you see. And the trailer park and the ghetto are two of the same, or one of the same. The broken families, the binge drinking, the misogyny, the fucking dysfunctional outcomes, the absent fathers in the household, all of these are one and the same. So one of the things that I had to come to the realization of, you know, when you approach people like him, he's going to have people that's going to stick up for him because they already have their minds fixated on, well, if he's saying it, then it must be true, you know?
Yeah.
One thing that I don't do on my broadcast, I don't sell nigga passes. I mean, I got a lot of white followers, I got a lot of black followers, but you won't see me on Fox News or any of these other, you know, these lamestream media outlets causing division. You see what I'm saying? I'd rather find a way that we can overstand together versus understand apart.
Right. You mentioned something, and this cuts to the core of when you're black and you start to become more conservative. I used to be very liberal. So
did I.
I voted for Obama twice. I'm embarrassed to say that I hadn't opened my eyes by the time of sometime after the 2016 election is when I really started to open my eyes and see things differently. So basically all the way up into then, I was just voting the way that I had been told, even though I internally, you know, would have some views that didn't line up with the liberals, but I still was kind of doing basically just what I was taught to do or what I was told to do. And there's a goddamn bug in here. Shit. Okay, ignore that. I didn't see it fly across the camera, but I saw it, so I just couldn't ignore it. But anyway, ignore it. I'm going to get up and kill that much. Okay.
Well, anyway, a lot of
hold on, but real quick, what I was building up to is that I'm embarrassed to say that even in 2016, yes, I voted for that woman.
Oh no!
Yeah. I'm embarrassed to say that. I come clean and tell it all on my show.
Okay.
I come clean and tell it all. I'm a change man. But that was where I was at, and I think the thing that kept me from just accepting that I was internally a conservative is the mere fact that everybody in this country who appears to be a card-carrying racist votes Republican. So it was like, why am I going to go and vote with the racist? And then to add insult to injury, every black person who is a conservative, they also, that goes back to Tatum. No matter what happens, no matter how it happens, you never see them step back and say, well, wait a minute. I know a lot of my party is going this way, but I can't stand beside that. That was wrong. What happened to George Floyd, that was wrong. What happened to this individual, that was wrong. Okay, that nigga right there, he deserved to get shot. He was asking for it. But that situation right there, that was wrong. You know, these three videos right here, okay, those three niggas deserve to get shot. That was murder right there with what happened with those situations. I don't see them doing that. I don't see them divvying it up like that. So just speak to that, because it sounds like you're one of the ones who try to take it case by case.
Exactly. Right. And, you know, or did they not make retraction videos? Like I did when I heard about the Breonna Taylor case, I was on the wrong side of it. I had to come back and make a retraction statement. I'm not too proud to make a retraction statement because if I'm going to do this, I want my audience to trust me. And I want my audience to know that I'm humble enough to take something back. I was mad at Kyle Rittenhouse for a while until I sat back and saw the whole thing and how everything went down. Now, there were things in there that didn't make any sense. Like if my 17-year-old son decides that he wants to go to a riot zone with an AR, I'm going to put my boot up his ass. You see what I'm saying? But you know, at the end of it all, with the way he was able to walk through police officers like that, I was like, wait a minute, how did they let this man go? And they were sitting there screaming, yo, he shot somebody. You feel me? So that was, you know, I take everything case by case. And what they should have done, and how Candace Owens and Officer Tatum both would have earned my respect again, is when they realized that this was a hate crime, to just do a retraction statement. Nobody's gonna yell at you, and nobody's gonna. As a matter of fact, that would make people trust you more. You'd be surprised how many minds you would change. But them two, that dynamic duo, they made my job harder for me last summer when I was in the melanated community trying to get people to leave the Democratic Party. I'm a constitutional conservative, so basically, I'm not Republican or Democrat. I'm a conservative. These old church folk, these old black church folks, so there's the reason that we're fucked up right now, that this generation is fucked up. And the reason I say that is like, look at Roland Martin. Roland Martin reminds me of the choir director at the church. He's very sassy, bitchy, whatever, right? And
oh, I was going to ask you about Roland Martin because Uncle Roro blocked you from his channel or something. I was watching a video. Didn't you say that Roland Martin, like you got banned or kicked or blocked from his Twitter or something like that?
Yeah, first I got blocked from his Twitter, and I kept talking shit about him. And when I kept talking shit, I got banned from what is that? Twitter. Yeah. So I'm still trying to get my Twitter account back because I had like several different political candidates that I was going to be interviewing, Marjorie Taylor Greene being one of them. And it was funny as hell because Roro can't take a joke. How you going to be in the public eye and you can't take a joke? This man knows that he's, you know, shaped like the number 8. And he's in the public eye trying to just talk all of this nonsense that he's talking, this democratic nonsense, this just garbage. Like the one kid, what's the guy's name? The King kid.
King Randall. I just revisited that video the other day and just, you know, basically in that video, we had to look up Roland Martin's height because I assumed he was like 5'3". Apparently he's 5'10", so I think he's like the tallest midget on earth because he got midget proportions. It's like his body is proportioned the same way as a midget. He's a real tall midget. But anyway, carry on.
Now King Randall is actually doing something in the melanated community. All right, he's doing it. You know what I'm saying? He's not talking about it. He's not sitting around like Kumar Johnson. Talking about
hold on. Some people in the chat asked about the Confederate flag. We are going to get into that. Be patient. I'm not going to bring a black man on this show with a Confederate flag behind him and just not ask him about it. Be patient. We're going to get into that. Be patient.
The elephant has entered the room.
Yes. Be patient. We're going to get into that.
But, you know, Roland Martin and that generation, they always talk about this someday that's going to come. Someday. And I'm like, no, fuck that. What about today? What about yesterday? You know, why I'm going to be sending money to some idiot to talk about the school that he's building because you sold it to me. And I'm in the car business. So basically, I'm a show me kind of person. If you come on my, if you came on my lot and wanted to buy an automobile from me, the first thing I'm going to do is show you all the features, let you test drive this car. I'm going to talk you up about it before we get into the car. But when you get into the car, I'm going to deliver. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of times with these older, that baby boomer, or I call Generation R, generation resentful, and I could just go on and on about that generation, but they don't deliver results. We're still waiting on results. If you vote Democrat, we're going to give you these results. The preacher tells you vote Democrat. They're going to deliver the results. And I'm like, wait a minute, why aren't we putting shit together so we can leave this to our children? Why aren't we putting shit together while we're waiting on them to deliver what they're not going to put across? Why are we going to deliver? I mean, that's our responsibility. You see what I'm saying? If we got failed by the past generation, okay, we tell them to shut the hell up, get out the way, let us take control. We know how to do it. We got the technology accessible to us. They did pave the way for us just a little bit, but let's take that path, that little lane they built to build the whole fucking highway. Don't just sit back and be like, well, let's just go along and get along. No, we got some construction to do.
Yeah. Yeah. E. Capone in the building with the super chat says, interesting show, BR. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you coming through on the super chat. Ian got 132 people in the building, 64 on the likes, 5 on the dislikes, but only 132 people in the building. 5 dislikes is a lot of dislikes. So yeah, they ain't feeling that flag behind you. We gonna get into that. They'll
be all
One,
right.
I remember you said that you got, and this may be connected to the flag. You said you had got kicked off of Twitter altogether because you called another black person. I believe you very eloquently stated you called him a bitch ass nigga.
Yeah.
And they kicked you off of Twitter. So they stole your Twitter privileges, and apparently you lost your Twitter privileges and your black card that same day. Because apparently a black redneck is not allowed to call. Black people call each other niggas all the time on Twitter. But apparently being a black redneck, you can't do that. They took your black card and your Twitter privileges all on the same day. You lost it all that day. So what
they did, well, TikTok was the first place I lost it though, because when I got on TikTok, I met this chick named Megan at the Trump rally in Atlanta, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Megan saw my YouTube channel when we were down there just, chewing the fat. And she says, you'd be good on TikTok. And I'm like, isn't TikTok for kids? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And no, I called him a nigga with an A. That ER is hateful. But he, when I was on TikTok and she got me introduced to it, I had the first account before it got banned was up to 500,000 followers. The second account before it got banned, I had 1.5 million. The cancel culture over there, they will, what's the word I'm looking for? They got groups that they all get together and they go out and mass report channels to ban it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I knew who it was. It was those liberals over there. They did that to all the conservative-minded people. You see what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But I didn't, take any, what's the word I'm looking for? I didn't take any, offense to it. I just knew that my message had gotten across. But see, the thing is that pissed me off about it was, dude, instead of just calling me an Uncle Ruckus or, just starting to come on with these ad hominem attacks, why don't you refute what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
Oh, no, I got you.
What I'm saying. A lot of these, and then I was glad when they took my TikTok account down, because when I went back and revisited TikTok, I realized that a lot of the people that was disputing my stance were kids. Underage kids. And I'm not going to sit on there and argue with a bunch of underage kids. I'm not even going to entertain somebody else's child, because I'd be pissed the fuck off if somebody was talking to my kid online. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. That's why I'm never doing anything on TikTok. As long as I have the perception that it's for kids, I'm standing clear. I ain't got nothing to do. TikTok ain't for me. So I definitely understand that. Coach Ali's Corner in the building. He says, late to the show. Shout out to BR and brother Ricky. Shout out to you. Salute. Appreciate you coming on through. Shout out to Snuggles in the building.
Hi, I'm Snuggles.
Shout out to Snuggles 668. She says, go back. By the way, love the flag. See, somebody liked the flag. Now what about the other versions of the flag and your thoughts on nature versus nurture? I don't know what nature versus nurture got to do with that. Snuggles.
Yeah, you gotta help me out here. It's early for me, man.
Shout out to Snuggles in her
Snuggles
her questions. But so before we dig into the Confederate flag, I do want to touch on one thing that you said in your content. I forgot which video it was. You had said Antifa and Black Lives Matter are white supremacist groups.
Yes, they are.
Okay, I think I follow what you're saying, but I do want you to just go ahead and lay that out, and then we're going to interrogate you about this damn flag. But
All right,
go ahead and lay that one out. Get to that one, and then we're gonna deal with the flag. Everybody want to hear you explain yourself. But all right, go ahead.
All right. So basically, the reason I called Antifa and Black Lives Matter terrorist organizations and also white supremacist organizations, well, I would really call them extremist groups, is for the reason that, okay, the phrase Black Lives Matter, I agree. I'm in full agreements on that.
Mm-hmm.
However, that phrase was hijacked, sold to melanated people, for us to get some sort of emotion going as a controlled demolition. Because if it done us any good, then the whole George Floyd crime bill wouldn't have been a big old nothing sandwich. The rioting and the looting that went on, I was at some of the protests last summer. It was mainly white kids that was tearing up these businesses, burning these businesses. I mean, come on, Atlanta, Georgia. How many black folk do you know that will burn down a Popeye's fried chicken? We will not burn down a Popeye's fried chicken. I don't even eat the shit anymore. But when I drive by down here in Charleston, you can drive by Popeye's fried chicken and the line is wrapped around the fucking building. We're not going to burn down the Popeye's fried chicken. A lot of, the stuff that these white kids were doing, coming in, raising hell, spraying Black Lives Matter on shit. Basically, the only thing that done was two things. It made it harder for a melanated businessman to try to open a business in his own neighborhood, because now the insurance is up. He's not going to be able to keep up with that. So what that does is open the door for corporate America to come into the sides of town that they've been wanting to come into and gentrify.
Mm-hmm.
So it works in the white kids' favors, because that's their parents, that's their kinfolk that's going to be living in these places, in these downtown metropolitan places, rebuilding these mills and these old warehouses, making fancy apartments out of them and yoga studios and things of that nature. They're not doing that for us. They're going to put all that shit up after they done figured out a way to get us out. You see what I'm saying? So in a certain sense, they are a white supremacist organization. They raised $90 million and didn't give shit back to the melanated community, which, I'm surprised not more melanated people are up in arms about that shit. Also at these rallies, the local leaders were getting people to go out and registering people to vote so they could vote for Joe Biden. So when people say that Joe Biden did not have any rallies, he did. There was like these BLM protests. So when you look at their outcome and what their mission was, they were actually there to just use the suffering and the emotions that melanated people were feeling to have their way politically. After everything was said and done, here it is, January, February, March, we're talking about stop the spread of Asian hate, right? Which I didn't see that much Asian hate going on. It wasn't the Asians that were out there in the streets last summer. It wasn't the Asians that saw one of them get a knee knelt on their back. It wasn't the Asians that saw one of them get gunned down unarmed by two fucking rednecks in Georgia. It wasn't the Asians that seen all that. That was us. That's what we've been feeling and what we've been screaming for the last, I would say, damn, how long? You see what I'm saying? But the Asians came along and says, well, when Trump made that speech about this being a China virus, now we feel threatened. And they used crimes that wasn't even hate related. And they got a fucking crime bill passed for them. What did us melanated people get?
Shout out to, I don't know if you're familiar with Ramil Amir. He basically just looked at the data and saw that it was probably like 6 more Asian murders or something. I forgot what he said it was. It wasn't that many. Looking at the actual data, it wasn't that big of a difference at all. A difference that was practically statistically meaningless. They made a website where they could just self-report Asian hate, and they used their own self-reported figures with no police report or nothing connected to it. Just basically, like Ramil basically went on there and went through the process and said he could go on there and say, a black person slapped me in the face and gave me a finger and said I hate Asians and then took off running. Like you could basically just go in there and report that, and it count, and then that they took the self-reported data to the government. Like, look, Agent Hate has went up since since the corona. They basically so they engineered it themselves and got something passed. So,
but if
go figure that one out.
Right, but can we call it a hate crime when somebody drops the N-bomb on us? Can we call it a hate crime if someone says something to offend us?
I tell you this: as much as Black people like to play the victim, if we made a similar website where we could go in and report every little microaggression, that shit would be through the roof.
I think you're onto something here.
Yeah.
I think we're onto something here, and it was it was, but the thing that that I try to get across is that Democratic Party has done nothing for us but use us and makes policies that go against us. Because I mean, Mr. Palmer, when he first saw me on TikTok, he asked me the same question. He's like, man, when I first saw you, brother, you had this Confederate battle flag behind you. I didn't know how to take you, but I had to ask before I started clowning on you. You know what I'm saying? So I gave him my stance and whatnot. So yeah.
Well, we about to go ahead and get into it. Psychopatheus is asking the first question here. A Black man waving a rebel flag has issues with Black Lives Matter. Explain yourself.
All right. So listen, as I said before, Black Lives Matter is not our organization. It never has been. It was the phrase is sexy. It sold a lot of T-shirts. It got a lot of media publicity. But out of all of that corporate money, why didn't anything come back to the melanated community? Why? How many? If we could have, if that was ours, and just think about this for a second. If that was our organization where we were organized enough to raise $90 million, would we give that money to rich white politicians? Will we give it to white people to manage for us?
No. Nah.
Now, that's my thing. If we were that organized to come up with that kind of money, we would have sent a lot of kids to college. That could have paid for hospitals in our communities. That could have paid for things in our community that we go to the white people for. We could have rebuilt our own communities. We wouldn't be talking about the wage. What is it? The wage gap. We wouldn't be talking about that. Why? Because we would be organized. Bless you. We would be organized enough to actually raise that kind of money again. We wouldn't need the Democratic politicians as they try to sell it to us. The owner of Black Lives, or the lady that was the forefront of Black Lives Matter, and you notice these Black women on YouTube now. I try not to use the word black. You notice these melanated women on YouTube now are now talking about we don't want to be the face of Colin Kaepernick's book. Because they realized at first that they got played too. You see what I'm saying? They realized by this woman buying this $1.4 million house, which she called a deal in Topanga Valley, California, by the way, because those houses are like $3-4 million. Somebody cut her deal. Where she lives around totally all white people. How much of that money was given back to any of these families? How much of that money did anything for us than other just raise money for these Democratic politicians that gave us nothing sandwiches for years? So that's the part that when I say I have a problem with Black Lives Matter, the Confederate battle flag is not even in the same neighborhood as that.
Right. I know. I think most of us here got a problem with Black Lives Matter. I've done a lot of content on that. I've brought a lot of people on to basically go over and explain everything that's wrong with Black Lives Matter. So I think we all generally in agreement with that. So we about to just focus strictly on the flag going forward. Jerron Venable says he's right. BLM founders have openly called themselves trained Marxists. What in that is beneficial to anyone, let alone Black people?
Let me put a spin on that. As melanated people, we're very materialistic. I'm materialistic. I can see you're very materialistic. We're materialistic. We're a materialistic group of people. We're consumers. There's no way that we should even be trying to buy into Marxism or communism, because we're not trading capitalism, man, for communism. I'm sorry. I mean, if many of our melanated people were educated enough to see what the game plan is to turn this country to a communist nation, they'd be like, nah, fuck that. We strive to get more in life. We feel better when we have more. You see what I'm saying? So if we're sitting up here having to compete with a government that's taking everything from us to the point that they tell you what you don't need, and that's the first thing they say. You don't need a AR-15. You can use a baseball bat or a shotgun to defend your home. Nah, fuck that. Don't tell me what I don't need. Well, you don't need $5 million in the bank. What you gonna do with $5 million in the bank? You're not gonna spend that. Well, what if I want to leave my kids a legacy so their kids don't have to suffer, and their kids don't have to suffer? You see what I'm saying? So
right.
There's no way that I could see us, if we were truly educated on this and we understood, we had a good understanding of this, that we would actually be going along with this Marxist bullshit. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. You hit us with that pro-black overstand.
Yes.
You can't be having that rebel flag behind you and trying to use some pro-black lingo. You overstand me, brother.
Yes. So I will
let's get right into it. The natives are restless. So go ahead and explain. I'm gonna sit back and let you fully explain. Why do your black ass got the Confederate flag behind you? Go ahead. That's the question they came here to answer to.
All right. So basically, this flag represents to me Southern heritage. I'm a proud Southerner, born and raised in the South. But a lot of people, when they first see it, they'd be like, "Damn, that flag had a racist constitution written under it." I'm not going to deny it. Yes, it did. That flag is a treasonous flag. Not going to deny that either. But there's two ways we can deal with this. The first one, I'm going to take on the easiest one, because the racism one, that's a little bit more complicated. It's got a lot of moving parts to it. The first one is treason. That's easy. Treason meaning breaking away from a tyrannical government, right? So the North and the South, I like to do imagery. So let me see here. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead. Take your time. If you need to do imagery. Yeah, if you need to screen share or anything, yeah, that's fine.
All right. So let me go to my cam real quick. Oops. Let me go back to my green screen. All right. So
well, hold on. Before you do that, let me get this. If you're going to be sharing stuff, let me get this super chat.
Oh, I'm not going to be sharing the screen.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, since I interrupted you anyway, a perfect blackness in the building. He says, yeah. I agree. The Dems don't do anything for black people, and BLM is the LGBT front. Now explain the flag. We already there. You sent the super chat right when I was getting us to the point. So we already there. Perfect blackness. Thank you for the super chat. All right. Let me.
So how many people are offended by the British flag?
I don't really give a shit about the British flag.
Right. But that was the flag, the North and the South. There wouldn't be a North and the South. The American flag nor this flag would exist without the British, without the American flag, evading the British in a sense of treason. But we won, right? So let's leave it there. Secondly, when we talk about the Confederate battle flag, well, that means another thing to me besides heritage. It also means that us Southerners will never forget what it's like to stand up and and we'll always honor people that will stand up to their government. That's why the liberals are saying, well, we got to take that flag down. It stands for racism. No, it stands for Americans that will stand up to their government, which means that it represents something that America stands for. America's built on rebellion.
Okay, but and I understand that concept, but as black people, the Southerners, they were standing up to fight their government in order to keep black people slaves. That's too close to home.
Yes, I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to deny it. So the way I look at it is, okay, so yes, would this flag be of a would this country, as it lasted for more than 4 years? Would that be a racist country? More than likely, yes. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. I'm not doubting that. And I'm not going to doubt that slavery was a very horrific institution. I'm not denying that either. Mm-hmm. However, I think, there's no way me being melanated thinking that I'm standing up for people who think that they're superior to me just because of the pigmentation of my skin. All right. So let me ask you this. When we talk about slavery, right? Mm-hmm. Slavery existed under this flag a whole lot longer than it has under this one. On top of that, you know, when we talk about the Confederate battle flag, the North is not really a utopia for race relations either. There's not rainbows and unicorns up there. Neither are there out west. I mean, look at how many race riots have taken place in those two places alone. So should this flag offend people because it makes them uncomfortable? Well, that's why I fly it for. I want people to be uncomfortable. I want people to be uncomfortable so that way we can actually have an open dialogue about America's history so we can get past that and move forward to the future. Someone asked me if somebody hit the nail on the head. They was like, I bet that's a trolling tactic. Somewhat it is, because this flag doesn't bother me. This flag doesn't bother me. And it actually is a conversation starter for people that are mature enough to hold a conversation versus wanting to get on and start screaming, you Uncle Tom, you Uncle Ruckus, blah, blah, blah. You can't get anything done that way. You see what I'm saying? So basically, when I try to educate people on, you know, Southern history and Southern heritage, slavery is something that us Southerners can all agree on, that is something that was very shameful. It was awful. But just because we have things that are shameful doesn't mean that we have things that we can't be proud of as well as Southern people. I mean, I'm sure you talk to many people from down south, the mannerisms are different. You know when you're dealing with a Southern person. You see what I'm saying? So when people start talking about racism, I'm looking at it like, well, yeah, but you know, who started the whole race class based system in America? The English. But nobody gets upset when they see the Union Jack flying over the ships and whatnot, or when the Beatles, you know, came to America, they was flying their Union Jacks and everybody was cool with it, right? But that's who started the whole fucking race class system. So it is what it is. Oh, psychopatheist, that's a fucking man. That's a man bitch, or what I call a dick having diva. He was on my broadcast last week, and he was screaming and shit, talking about, yeah, he don't want to smoke. No, motherfucker, I got a piece of wet pussy in the other room. It's Friday night. I'm not gonna argue with another man on the internet, man. That's some shit that girls do. You feel me? I don't get down with girls online. I'm sorry, man. You know, I'm taken.
Sorry,
that's that old ratchet hood rat shit. You know what I'm saying? He don't want to smoke. He don't want to smoke. Dude, calm the fuck down. I'm just the guy on the other end of the screen. You know, like, you don't know me. I don't owe you any money. I'm not interfering with the way you live your life, man. Calm the fuck down. That's a man bitch. There's a lot of dick having divas out there.
You do know I dropped a link in the chat at about the 1 hour mark, so you may have to face the firing squad, but I will moderate it and try to keep it respectful. We'll make sure.
I'm not going to spend my morning arguing with that dude, man.
All right, well, no, okay. You can, if you and him got history, then you can exclude exclude him from the panel. If y'all got history, I don't want to bring somebody up if I know, if you know it's going to go south real fast. Then yeah, if y'all got history, we can not let psychopatheists on the panel. But I do want people to come up for questions in a little bit. Barry Little says melanated people got 999 problems, virtue signaling and beefing over flags and that represent interests that are not our own ain't one of them. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. What are your thoughts on that? Go ahead. You ain't nothing to add there. You just in agreement?
I'm in agreements because it's like, see, here's the thing. People will see something or take a point of view and they will go run with it with their emotions. When I fly this flag, I took that power back. It has no power over me. You see what I'm saying? This is just a flag that represents to me. This is what it represents to me. It doesn't mean that I hate my own people or that I stick up for slavery or that I'm kissing some white guy's ass. No, this is what this flag means for me. It means Southern heritage. That's it, point blank and simple. Because, I mean, you can take any kind of emblem. You can take any kind of flag. You can take any kind of whatever and see the history behind it. If you're sitting there just drawing out the bad, and not looking at whatever the good is in it, because, you know, I mean, it's just a piece of cloth at the end of the day. You see what I'm saying? But, you know, you look at the American flag. The American flag held slaves more than the 4 years this flag was going on. The American flag treated, you know, POWs, German POWs, better than it treated melanated people. in World War II. My grandfather had many stories about that. The Mitsubishi emblem, people aren't offended by it. People put, they suit their race cars up. That Mitsubishi built the engines that bombed Pearl Harbor. Everybody likes to drive a BMW, but nobody's offended by the BMW logo, even though that was the plane. Those were the company that built the planes for Hitler's Third Reich. So yeah, if you drive a BMW, does that make you a Nazi? If you drive a Mitsubishi, does that make you a Japanese imperialist? You see what I'm saying? So
yeah, I'm following what you're saying, but see, here's the thing. Well, this is a question I want to ask, and it's sort of subjective, and it can turn into anecdotal, and I typically don't like to go there, but I know me living in Michigan, I don't see the flag flying around as much as you, even though there are people riding around here in Michigan with the flag on their car, on their house. They exist. So I can't recall one of them that had the flag that didn't bare minimum give off racist vibes. And keep in mind, and I'm not that dude. I don't got the victim mentality. I don't need white people to like me. The person with the Confederate flag who gave off the racist vibes, if he didn't like me, it didn't do a damn thing to me and my ability to make money. I can look him in the eyes and say, boy, I make more money than you. Go on somewhere.
Right.
Go your racist ass on somewhere, boy. That's how I feel about it. that's what I think about that. But so I'm asking you an anecdotal question here. When it comes to the people in the South who rock the racist, not the the rebel flag, the Confederate flag, Freudian slip, that rock the Confederate flag, do you get the feeling from a lot of them that they're racist?
A few yes, most no.
A few yes, most no.
Right, because just because I'm on this side of the aisle in my political beliefs, and that this means nothing to me other than Southern heritage, then basically, you got some people out there that would kill me. You got some people that would fucking would rather see me strung up from a tree. You got some people that would just look at me and see that I'm not even their equal. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that racism doesn't exist. As a matter of fact, that is a fucking what's what I'm looking for? That's a curse on the American society today, that we, as together, got to have an open dialogue and get past. As far as people talking about, I'm a sellout, I'm an Uncle Tom, a coon, or whatever. No, you got to get a chance to know me. If you really actually just knew my reasoning for the things that I do, like someone said, man, that's a trolling tactic. It gets attention. That's the first thing. It grabs you in. So basically, that's just my whole theory of it. I'm not, caping for slavery or slave holders or anything of that nature. That's just not it,
How often do you see black people down there in the South, black folks like yourself, who rock the flag, got it on their truck and whatnot? Do you see a lot of that down there or no?
Quite a few.
And do they got the same?
I'm no unicorn here.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Do they got the same reasoning as you? Is they saying it's just local pride, Southern heritage, and all of that?
Yes,
that's pretty much the reasoning for it. Because I look at it, and I'm glad you said that it's kind of a troll thing when you're online, because that is how I kind of view it. It's a way to be deliberately provocative, know. And once you say that, then it's almost like, to some degree, all the odds and ends of the history of the racism aspect of it is like you're pushing all of that aside. You're pushing slavery aside, saying it's Southern pride, but I know everybody else look at it as something else. So it's almost like it's just the net to catch people, draw people in to have a conversation about the things that you do want to have a conversation about. Is that ultimately what's going on there?
Yes, and nobody said it better than it's a guy by the name of Dying to Live, which, me and him were having an open dialogue in that same broadcast where I met the psychopathist or some dumb shit. But we were having an open conversation, and we were just actually talking, and we were having the conversation like you and I are having. He gets on the line and act like the ghetto ratchet hood bitch he is, and just like breaks the whole thing up. I was like, I'm done with this. It's over. Let me get out of here. You know what I'm saying? I don't argue with people. That's just not my thing. If I'm having a conversation and we're having a good conversation, we're talking like grown men, I could do that all day long. But somebody sitting there yelling and screaming, I'm not getting into it. Man, fussing is for hood rats. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit there and debate or even try to engage with someone who has a hood rat bitch mentality. That's just not my thing. But what he had said was, so you pretty much took the flag and made it your nigga. I was like, what do you mean by that? He says, you know how black people took the term nigga, and that's, it was invented for hatred. And so basically it's kind of the same thing, it lost its power with me. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not going to let a symbol or emblem dictate my emotions. That's weak. You know what I'm saying? And people look at it and be like, well, damn, man, that's a flag of slavery. Okay. Like I say, I'm not going to deny that the South is very guilty of hateful crimes. The old South, the antebellum South, was very guilty of hateful crimes. However, we can't sit back and put so much energy invested in that flag because that's just an image. What about the image? Now, this is the question I ask when people ask me, what about that flag? Okay, what about the image that we openly accept on melanated people today? What about that image? That image that makes our women look like whores. That image that makes our men look like a bunch of weaklings. That image that makes us, that has us as pretty much the laughing stock of the world. How are they going to take us serious if we can't organize? And that's what that's the message that I try to get across. How are we going to organize?
I'm about to open it up. People, y'all can come up.
Yeah, I got about 15 more minutes before I got to roll.
All right. Y'all can come up for questions. We ain't about to have a shootout. Y'all can come up for questions. We can have a conversation. And that'll be that. But as I wait for people to come up, the link is in the chat. Shout out to number 16. He says, I thought this space was big on not looking back to the past because of slavery, but this is Southern pride.
Exactly.
The one JPTV says excuses for cooning. Shout out to you. Appreciate the $2.
These last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
Shout out to you. Got AC Star Talk Radio in the building. He says, what part of that flag represents you and your heritage? Because the flag is not about the South. It's about rebelling against the U.S. central government. Good question, AC. Go ahead. You got it.
Okay, what about that flag heritage? Well, first off, I was born in America. So when people say African American, I don't affiliate with that term. I don't even affiliate with the term quote unquote black, because black is a banker's term for profit. So whenever they're calling you black, they can come up with any political correct name that they have for you. And if you look at anybody's arrest records or anything, they'll have that politically correct name and then they'll put black under it. You see what I'm saying? So me, I'm like, I call myself melanated because, that's what we are. We're melanated people. We are a community of people with melanation. So.
Shout out to AC Star Talk Radio. Appreciate you. About to be going to Fatal Dose real soon. Just trying to get down to the bottom of these super chats. Indigenous TV in the building. He says, I'm not offended by the Confederate flag. I'm more offended by the abortion of a black baby or when a black rapper glorifies black death. Priorities. I think that's more or less what you were alluding to when you're talking about the image that black people have, and we should care more about that than a damn flag. So I do understand where you're coming from there. Shout out to you, Indigenous TV. Very little. And for the record, I'm not down with that flag or any of the others because we have not received restorative justice under any of them. Shout out to Very Little. Appreciate you. All right, we going to Fatal Dose. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Hey, good morning, Bernard. Good
Morning.
morning. Yeah, so now I wouldn't fly the flag, but a lot of the people in the chat who haven't read a book since they dropped out since in middle school or junior high school, as we call it up north, probably ain't gonna get this. But there were entire black regiments that fought for the Southern Confederacy. The president of the Confederate, was actually married to a black woman, and his son was black. And the Northerners murdered him so that word wouldn't get out that he had a black son. So we've been lied to about the whole situation, about why the Civil War was fought and why that flag is flown. For example, like I said, you dudes that haven't read a book since middle school, don't jump on the panel after me unless you could disprove this. But there was white slavery in this country at the same time as black slavery. And during the Western expansion, the northern states wanted to use white slaves because they could, the black slave could not be imported anymore after the slave trade ended, because the British were sinking the slave ships. The southern slave owners wanted to use black slaves, and the northern states put tariff on the southern states as punishment for that. And that's when the southern states broke away. The whole thing had nothing to do with slavery. It had to do with money.
Wait, hold on,
Exactly.
right. You can't say it had nothing to do with slavery.
No. Well, let me rephrase that. It had to do with slavery, but the war itself wasn't started for slavery. We were in the middle of the war before it got turned into a slave issue, right? Abraham Lincoln himself said, if the southern states would rejoin the Union, that he would let them keep their slaves.
Exactly.
So there's a misunderstanding of why the war was fought. These people weren't trying to free us. We only got freed as a punishment to the southern states for breaking away. Think about it. If the war was about slavery, North Carolina, who was part of the Confederate, did not have they had ended slavery before the war. The state of Maryland, who was part of the Union, still had slaves during the Civil War.
And the part that they don't talk about is the contraband camps, like when all the slaves escaped from the North. Because if the North was this utopia for melanated people, then the Underground Railroad wouldn't have ended in Canada. You had to go through the northern states to get to Canada, because if you stopped in the North, they were just going to send you back down south.
Send you back, right?
And then
that's what the whole Dred Scott case, where he went to the North and thought he was free, and then he filed suit, and he was told, "Hey, your property." You have to go. The northern states have to send you back.
Right. And on top of that, the thing that people don't understand either is because when you start looking at these, what they call contraband camps, when you went up north during the Civil War, they needed people to pick the cotton there and build and make uniforms and build wagons and whatnot. They worked those slaves to death, just like they were down south. So the North, the way that the history books are written, they try to make it seem like the war was about slavery and white people up north cared about, the melanated people down south. And that was not the case. The case was, we got to break up that slavery so we can actually take control of that agriculture down there. You see what I'm saying? So it wasn't about them trying to trying to liberate us. Now, once they liberated us, guess what they started doing? They started playing black against white like they're doing nowadays with the politics. And then after that, they told us, okay, well, we're just going to rebuild you some colonies in Africa. Y'all get the hell out of here. Abraham Lincoln said himself, you will never be equal to a white man.
Hey, bro, let me just throw this in there. A lot of people don't realize what's going on today. So after the Civil War, the northern states told the blacks to go ham on the southern whites. Right, where the blacks are going around doing all type of fuck shit, the same type of looting and stuff that we see today that the Northerners or to the Democrats are telling you to do. That's what was told the blacks to do after the Civil War, which gave birth to, as a result, to the Ku Klux Klan. A lot of people don't even know why the Ku Klux Klan was created.
All right. I'm about to get the AC. Information, man. I'm about to let y'all get it real quick. A Perfect Blackness in the building. He says, I'm finding it hard to understand this, but I'm not buying the explanation so far because of Southern pride, because that Southern pride thing is stale. Shout out to Purple. We got Mr. Shane Vitch says he fly to swastika too. You don't gotta answer that. I'm pretty sure you don't.
No.
Okay. All right. All right. Donald in the building with the $5 super chat. Let me shout out everybody else who's contributed to the stream. We got the one JPTV. He says black men never fought willingly for the Confederacy. Most were forced by penalty of death or family killed. Research is your friend. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. All right, we about to pass it to AC. Then we're gonna go to information man. And I gotta ask. Psychopathias is in the back. You can. Y'all history so bad that you don't want him to come up. I mean, I think if he promised to not fall off the handle, you all right with him coming up or no?
I got about 8 more minutes.
All right. So now we're gonna keep him down then. All right, go ahead, AC. We got to try to get quickly to AC and information, man.
Go real quick. Hey, he didn't even answer my question. To be honest with you, the question that I sent in the super chat, because my thing, he started talking about black and all that. That wasn't my question. My question was, what part of your Southern heritage does that represent if the whole cause was to be rebellious to the U.S. central government? Now, my second thing is they just did this whole revisionist history to try to make it seem like the South had some kind of, we should feel sorry for them and the North was really the aggressors, which is totally false. Totally false. The Ku Klux Klan was created to terrorize black people who now were free, who now were becoming politically astute, who was becoming educated, who was learning how to read, who was becoming businessmen, entrepreneurs, getting land. That's what that was. And the poor whites didn't have a skin in the game. They didn't have nothing going on. So they created the White Citizens Council to go around and terrorize black people to put them back in their place. So for this dude to come up and have all this revisionist history about what's going on and never really address what we're asking him, just says that this is false. And he just aligns with the hatred that flag represents. Point blank. You can hear the way he talks about black people, the way he describes black people. His alignment with that flag has nothing to do with Southern heritage. It has to do with him aligning with that white way of thinking about his people.
All right, let's pass it back to him. Go ahead, Ricky Manor. You got the floor. You got the mic.
All right. So basically, you're talking about revisionist history. Well, history is always written in the eyes of the victor. 1, 2. The North was aggressive because they overtaxed the South. Now, am I trying to cape for white people? No. Now, you talk about the way that I talk about black people. Well, that's one thing I've always figured out. You can't be critical of black folk because they always fly off the handle whenever you tell them the truth. But at the same time, white way of thinking, you don't know me, homeboy, because how many people have you taught to do anything over the summer? How much have you given back to your community? Because I could sit here and pull out my freaking calculations of what I gave back to my community, and I can actually pull out my, So when you sit here and just say that I align myself with AC, you don't know me. As a matter of fact, you just see you're looking at it as face value. Get a chance to know somebody before you try to fuck them.
Well, I'm going based on the rhetoric that you're spouting on the panel, and I'm a black business owner, and I employ black people, and I do business for black people, with black people, and contracted out to black people. So I do a lot for black people, for the community, a hell of a lot. Anybody on here tell you I'm mega pro black, and I'm a light skinned dude. So you talking to the wrong one, bro. You're not answering the questions. You're just using ad hominems and trying to defend the indefensible. We need you to answer the question.
Have you not been listening to the panel so far, or are you just so charged up on your emotions that you just throwing things?
All right. I'm trying to work. I'm trying to work and conversate with you. That's why, bro. It's not emotional.
All right. We're gonna go to information, man. Go ahead, info man. You got it. Shout out to Man of Tomorrow. He said information laundering at its best. Hashtag idiot woke. Shout out to Man of Tomorrow. Appreciate you. Go ahead, info man. You got the floor. You got the mic.
This is the brother's name again, because I've seen him on YouTube before. Ricky Manor. Okay, I want to say respectfully, what's up to you? I'm not going to get emotional with you, because I think that's part of our problem as black people, is that we get emotional and then we don't keep things within gravity. I'm going to stay within history with you, brother, because I'm not going to argue who you are or define who you are, although I do disagree with the symbolism of a Confederate flag, because we know through history, let's talk about history. We know that through history, my brother, that the Confederate flag was used as a symbol of terrorism towards black people in parts of the South, is a symbol of power. We do know that the daughters of the Confederacy were the ones that erected those monuments after black people start getting some movement doing the civil rights movement, to remind black people in the South that we're still in control of you. Remember, symbols. You say that it's only a piece of material. I get that. It's a piece of material that someone drew up, someone put up together, but symbols are very powerful. Symbols get to you psychologically, and black people do have a feeling about the flag due to the past transactions. Now, you made a good point, brother. You made a good point, and I think people need to know their damn history. We got those colors, like you said, from Great Britain. The blue, the white. I know the history. I'm probably one of the guys on YouTube who study history, studied it in school, understand it. You're right. We got those colors from Great Britain, and I agree with you. Great Britain is an oppressive empire, colonialism. So when I look at the British flag, and you may disagree with me or not, everybody, I have the same disdain for the British flag, because when I look at what they've done throughout the world, colonialism, killing, taking over. So I don't even care, as brother when I was saying, I don't even care. I don't even like the British flag, because I know that British flag is the grandfather to the American flag, which, like you said, many black men were oppressed and black people even under the American flag. When you have black men in the military who came home and were treated as second and third class citizens, weren't able to ride. I mean, the damn Germans were given better accommodations in capturing war under that American flag. So the American flag has also been a part of oppression. Even Malcolm X said that. See, a lot of folks don't know history on these damn YouTube streets, because it all equals. And let me just say this. No, I don't need when people cutting in. It's not a back and forth. Not a back and forth. Okay? I'm not into the back and forth screaming and yelling. It ain't gonna work with Information Man here. I'm just giving history. I'm sorry. What did I just say? I don't like the British flag. I don't like the American flag. And guess what? The British flag and the American flag, all that is a projection of the bringing of the Confederate flag. Now, I got to say to you, Manny, we got to be fair here, brother. One of the big leaders of this flag, which was General Lee, he said that he didn't want this flag. He didn't want battle flags being erected. In 1866, he wrote that the one monument to one of his best generals, Stonewall Jackson, that he didn't think it was fashionable in our country to be pushing the monuments, and he didn't want that flag that you have behind you, brother. He didn't want that flag buried with him. He didn't look at it as anything prideful. And this is the man that was the leader of the damn Confederacy in the war, him himself. This is in history. I'm not dealing with emotions, dealing with history. So why I'm saying that to you, brother, is that if the leader of the Confederacy said that flag was something that doesn't need to be flown, and he didn't like it, and he didn't like the monuments that were starting to be built, or one of them, and he's the leader of that movement, the Southern heritage, as you call it, but I see it as a projection of racism, white supremacy, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't mean it holds me back. Now, let me say this to you, and I'm going to end. If you look at the world, there are not too many countries in this world, if any, who pay homage and respect to the loser in war. You don't see Germany rocking the Confederate flag. I mean, rocking the swastika flag. You know why? Because in Germany, my good brother, you'll get fined. You may go to jail. Why? This is the thing. Yes, you're right. It was about the North. That whole war was about economics. They didn't give a damn about black people. Matter of fact, they've been telling us a lie for years that Abraham Lincoln freed all the slaves. No, he freed some slaves as an economic sanction against the South, because they wanted that money that the South was making. Matter of fact, the last northern state where you live at, AC, the last northern state to end slavery in this country was New Jersey.
You're not saying
the North wasn't any better. The North, I can't have nobody talking over me right now, because I can't tell. I'm not into the back and forth.
Yeah, I think that's AC trying to jump in.
I wish AC. All due respect to AC, I got respect for AC. but don't cut me off, brother, because this is not about emotions. Everything that I've been talking up here is about history. Am I right or wrong? Everything I said is history. If you go, I can't even. You got his guy. You got him cut in. This is not how it works on the Bernard Riley show. This ain't. We ain't on the ghetto shows. This is professional show here. Now, I appreciate that info. Because a lot of guys, they get on these ghetto channels where they can do all that back and forth. No, this professional over here. I'm on your AC. I'm gonna end.
Can I cut in real quick?
I just want to end this because I know you got time. AC, I'm not against you, AC.
Man, land the plane real quick. Wrap it up. Then we gotta get a response from Ricky.
Maybe on my last points. We know that the North was interested in all that money that the South was making. That's one of the reasons why. Now, they told black people in the South, some of them, if you fight for the Confederate, you fight for the for the Northerners, we're gonna give you freedom. Hell, there were even black people in the South who fought on the Confederate side because the Confederate armies were giving them certain concessions if they fight. So there's a lot of things that were happening in history. America doesn't have a clean history. The American flag, the British flag, the Confederate flag doesn't have any history. Now, I wouldn't rock with it because that flag was used to kill. Now, I'm going to end with this. A lot of Negroes got upset about Colin Kaepernick, but remember that national anthem song, if you read the third stanza, brother, it talks about killing black people and slaves. So all the symbolism in this country is embedded in music, money, with the symbols of the presidents, the flag that you got behind you. So to me, brother, it's not just a cloth. It's the symbolism. It doesn't mean that you let it keep you back from going to college. I've gone to college. I'm a father. I work with youth. I'm in the community. I got my foot to the ground. So I get where you're coming from that point of view. And I think black people are coming at you because it's uncomfortable to see a black man with a flag like that, given the history of that flag. And it makes us want to say, let's question this guy. What is his motives? What the hell is going on here? I want to end there.
But let me ask you this with what you just said.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Ricky Manor, you got it.
Yes, sir.
Now, thank you, Info Man. Thank you for the
Info. Info Man, is that this brother's name here that was just talking?
Information Man.
I go by the name Information Man. Yeah, Information Man. I'm listening to you.
Let's connect after the show, first of all, because I think that we can have an open dialogue, and I think that people like you, me, Bernard, and what's the other gentleman that knows his history on the Civil War?
Fatal Dose right there. Yeah, Fatal Dose. Yeah.
Fatal Dose. I think we all need to get together, offline and just have like a conversation and, not with an audience, but where we can all just sit around and have an open dialogue about how we can actually help and rebuild here. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what I've been looking for. On top of that, when you asked about the flag and when people say, well, darn, the history behind all these flags, right? So this flag, so you can admit with your word that the American flag would have that same weight, right?
Yes, I would. But check this out. There's a brother that I rock with by the name of Brother Sanchez, and he did some deeper research on this. That X symbol that you have behind you, when you take away the colors, the stars, and the symbolism of the South, that was a symbolism that ancient black melanated people had on this land. So actually, that's why when you talk about original people, Europeans, they steal all their symbolisms from black people. Then they turn them around and make them negative. Even the swastika that we see as negative came from Native American culture, African symbols, and Dinka symbols. And then Europeans, they take anything that had a positive power to it and they turn it around negatively to make it, to empower themselves. That's why these tattoos and symbolisms and 888 and all these white supremacist symbols, I know them back and forth, brother. So anything that we have in American society like this, you have to understand the black man is the original man. These were symbols that were once powerful symbols for us that were switched around once they start giving us the brainwashing of slavery, mental deprivation, and what have you. So, because me and Brother Sanchez, he gets into the symbolism. We talked about this. So there's a lot going on. I'm going to get off the panel or stay on the panel and be quiet because I know other people got things they want to say.
I got a roll here, but I will say this, man. I mean, this has been very interesting. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? We can agree to disagree. But then at the same time, we got to be mature about it to see what we can do about moving forward. So the American flag, okay, that I will fly now for you guys, because I really want to tell you exactly what I mean by what I do.
Hold on, real quick before you say that, I actually forgot to do this. And moderators, y'all slipping on your pimping because y'all was supposed to do it. Even though I know a lot of people in there don't rock with Ricky Manor right now because of that flag. Still drop his link in the chat. You know that's customary. When I have a guest on, we drop
my goddamn link in the chat.
Drop Info Man link in the chat too. Yeah,
I want to follow Info Man.
Drop some links in the chat, fellas. Yeah, even though I know a lot of y'all ain't rocking with him, but but that's customary over here. Let's drop the links in the chat.
I don't agree with the Confederate flag whatsoever, or the American flag in a
lot
of ways.
Ricky Manor was trying to.
I do get the history. Yes.
So basically, we all have an idea, no matter what color you are, where we want this flag to go, right? So why don't we just go ahead and do that? Why don't we just go ahead and try to get it to go there? Because I mean, there's a lot of people that made a lot of sacrifices under this flag as well, and why don't we just get it? Let's rock together, because I'm gonna always be a patriot. You see what I'm saying? So with that being said,
behind an unpatriotic flag, okay.
So what I really would like to do is I would like to get with you, Bernard, and the other guy here. We can sit around and chop it up after hours sometime and see what we can do to helpfully network. But I got to get out of here, man. My clients.
But Man of Tomorrow is right. You do realize that Confederate flag is a flag of treasons and traitors.
And this is why we shouldn't even be talking to this guy at all. You don't come in here trying to test out our level of tolerance by putting a level of intolerance right in front of our face and talk about having a reasonable conversation. We ought to have enough sense to do that. I've never seen a Jewish guy sit down in front of somebody with a Nazi flag talking about how he wants to be reasonable. That would never happen.
This is a conversation for another time, because that's a whole.
Sure. No. It's just defensive, and nobody would.
Bernard.
Run,
dude! I gotta go to work.
Run for us. All right, go ahead, man.
Y'all go check out Ricky's channel. He did say he had to leave.
No, that's fine. But most importantly, Bernard, listen. This is why we say that you conservatives. This is why you don't get any type of respect, even amongst white people. White people would be seen with a guy like this, with a flag like that, in public, conversating about anything. This guy merely came here to try to network with people more rational and reasonable than him, shoehorning in this actual ability to not really have a conversation. You have to understand how this game is actually played, man. This guy
I wanted him to explain himself, and then once we got down,
he didn't answer any questions.
Once we got down to the bottom of it, he did.
You didn't make him answer any questions.
He sideways admitted.
He didn't answer nothing.
I know he came up here and Trey MBD'd and Hood Conservative and SKC'd his way through the debate, and you didn't hold his feet to the fire.
Yeah. I gotta admit,
keep shit in y'all mouths.
Right. AC had a good question.
Let me say this real quick. He admitted that it's question. He admitted that it's a troll. Once he admitted that, then is
right. But
even when black man would decide to troll in that manner.
Even when AC was on the panel, all due respect to you brothers, AC had a good question. And he did not answer AC's question, which I know why. That was why AC wanted to cut back in when I was talking to him.
Well, yeah, they started getting personal, and then at that point, I'm just like, what the hell, whatever. Then I just passed it to you because I figured
this guy with the Confederate flag is no different than Little Big Nate or Hood Conservative.
All right, I won't put them.
But if you notice, Bernard, if you notice, when I came up here and got more into history, he really didn't have any pushback. He really didn't have no answers. Up until that time, he was holy molying about it, right? And
I'm from Mississippi. How do you think he could talk to me about that flag?
Right. And to come over here and to get into the British flag is if none of us know the history of how the British flag connects to the American flag versus into the Confederate flag. Come on, we're not stupid.
It's ridiculous. And why nobody mentioned the fact that that's not even the Confederate flag? That's a rebel flag. That flag was waved one time in a battle out in Tennessee.
You're right.
And guess who popularized that flag? The Ku Klux Klan.
The Ku Klux Klan.
And guess why they popularized it? Guess what the Klan was founded? In Tennessee.
Right.
So he is waving a flag that represents the Klan, and he is getting up on here trying to make these silly notions about this stuff, meaning about Britain and Northern aggression and what is it, Southern heritage, all this lost cause nonsense that's been that people have been trying to indoctrinate people with since the end of the war. This is what Southerners have done. They have these white Southerners, these racists, the Klans, and everything else. They have sat there and painted this huge picture romanticizing the South, and slavery wasn't that bad. We treated them good. They had this, they had that, and everything. Stop.
And when you had another brother talking about I don't know if it was Fatal Dose talking about the history of the Klan. First of all, how many of you have seen The Birth of a Nation, the original movie that was shown in the White House? It gave rise to the movie industry, in which the reason why the Klan rose up is because after slavery into Reconstruction, when black men start having black women were freed, and we had most of the physical skills like masonry and things that affected white America, the Klan was concerned that the black man, for those of you in the manosphere, are going to learn something today. They were concerned that the black man was going to chase after the white woman because they put the white woman on a high pedestal. And then that movie depicted the Klan forming to take down the black man because they're concerned that the black man was going to rape the white woman. That's how you get Tulsa, Oklahoma, with Black Wall Street, Rosewood, and all the rest of them, because the white males have had concern that black men are going to savage their women, and we were killed over that. And the Klan rose, and the reason why they use sheets, because during in the South, they had this notion that black people were very afraid of ghosts. And that's why the Klan start rocking the sheets over here. Nobody come at me with no goddamn bullshit. I know the goddamn history.
So, bro,
hold on, wait. Well, Fatal Dose, I do want you to reply, because you do seem like the one who was more in agreement or sympathetic to the position of Ricky Manor. So I do want you to reply. But Pablo hasn't said anything yet. And real quick, Nigerian man, hold on. But now he said Bernard allowed the guy on the show. He wouldn't be here if Bernard didn't. I'm not laughable. What was that? I'm not scared of some guy, a black dude, just because he got a Confederate flag behind him. He can come in and hear him out. I can give him an interview, and I can invite people up to give him the pushback and the counter argument. I mean, that's typically how the show works. Like, let's not get ridiculous here. I don't mind.
Yeah, but if you don't answer any questions and you don't say, "Sir, did you hear the question?" Did you hear the question? The question was.
I understand that he was trying to hold him down on a question. He kind of didn't answer it, and then they got personal. So I just said, "Fuck it," and passed it to Info Man. That's what happened. All right.
But now you know that on this program, you usually hold people to the foot of answering questions.
Unless they're conservatives. Unless they're traded NBD, Little Big Nate, Hood Conservative, and other people who believe that conservative shit. You don't hold those people feet to the fire. You don't. Let's not lie about that shit.
I've asked Little Big Nate plenty of questions.
I accept that critique, MOT. I don't completely agree with it, but all right, we gonna keep it moving. Go ahead, Pablo.
So check this out. I'm glad y'all ran him off before I got here. My third great grandfather fought in the Civil War in the Union Army.
Whoa, man, that's
the Massachusetts 54th and all that stuff you see in Glory is real. I have a real relative in that, and so I studied this stuff. So did he get up here? I missed a lot of it. Did he get up here and say, "Oh well, it was about states' rights and all that old kind of"? It was about freedom.
Yeah.
So I came armed for that bullshit. I dropped in the chat here in the StreamYard the Articles of Secession for Texas and South Carolina, but every Confederate state had them. And in the Articles of Secession for the state of Texas, they mentioned slavery 21 times.
21.
That's true.
Georgia, South Carolina, Virginia, they all mention it. The reason that they were going to war is because they wanted to maintain slavery. Now, the reason the North wanted to get rid of it was for a big part of what Information Man was saying. We were going from an agrarian society to an industrial one. And slaves were not just used to pick cotton. They ran factories. They and so it would have created an unfair business practice, because you would have people having to pay people for labor in the North for labor in the South that they could do for free and charge less money for the products.
Facts.
So they couldn't have that. And they felt if Lincoln got elected, it would be over for them. And they started the shit. They was with the shit. Because of that, they believed in their hearts that Lincoln would eventually wreck their economy.
All right.
Can I ask a quick question here before I leave?
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, I wanted to ask him, like, how was we ever going to get to equal protection under the law under that type of flag? Because we're not there, and that flag and the people who actually have that type of mentality are the reason why we can't have a more stable government all over the United States. So I just wanted to know what was his timeline on that flag actually producing some tangible results for all American citizens. That would have been a good question, if you would have stuck around. But that's all I got, man. Thank you so much for having me on. Thank you guys for having me on. And you guys have a really nice day.
Bernard, I wanted to ask Brother Pablo something, because he could, or even Psychopatheist, what were the items, like black people, we were a commodity like tobacco, molasses. That's how they looked at us. But it's interesting how that guy never mentioned that. Black people were a commodity, sold like we were stock.
Yes. And if you were skilled, like you were saying, if you were a blacksmith or carpenter or something like that, Thomas Jefferson's whole fucking plantation, Monticello and all that crap, was built by black hands and black carpenters and designed by black people.
Right. And remember, and this brother right here, Brother Palmer, that you had on yesterday, he's absolutely right. If you go deeper into the history, Lincoln was only concerned with keeping the Union together. If it meant freeing some slaves or not freeing slaves, he didn't give a damn about us. His own interest was about the economics and the Union staying together. Black people were only being used as pawns on a chessboard.
Bernard, can I respond?
We gotta get Fatal Dose back in here. I do.
Yes, I know.
Somebody who may disagree with some of the stuff y'all saying, to go ahead and get a word in. Go ahead.
He can't disagree because everything that we said is based in history.
Can I
let him go?
Hello.
Wait a minute. Where is Fatal Dose from? He got that.
I'm from Brooklyn.
Are you from Brooklyn? Okay, you kind of sounding like you from.
I grew up in Brooklyn, nigga. That's all you need to know.
All right, well, hey, Fatal Dose, watch your N-word with me, fool. I'm the wrong one to fuck with on these YouTube streets. Watch your mouth with your damn pink ass bow tie.
All right. Go ahead, Fatal Dose. You got it.
Whatever, dude.
Yeah, whatever, dude. That's what I got for you. Laugh at you, bitch.
Whatever, man.
Info man.
Bitch ass bow tie, nigga.
Hold on. I muted Info
You say that when you see me, bro. Anyway, let's move forward, man. So anyway, you made that statement that I was sympathetic to him. I was not sympathetic to him. I came on the panel saying I do not agree with that. Right. Every time a brother was being lynched or black people were being terrorized by the Klan, that flag was being flown. So I will never, ever back that flag. What I came up and said is that there are some history that we are unaware of. And I pointed out those historical facts about us being unaware of it. Right.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let him get it out.
So I don't want to get lumped in with the whole waving Confederate flag, because I ain't with that, bro.
I know I'm going to get lumped in too, just for interviewing them. But I understand.
It's just an interview, right? They shouldn't trip. It's just an interview. But
So I wanted to finish my point.
Let him finish.
I wanted to finish my point. Right, was as far as the Klan, when I made the statement about the Klan, I think that's being misunderstood as well, right? There were two versions of the Klan. There were Nathan Bedford that created, along with another
Nathan
Confederate
Bedford
general.
Forrest.
Yeah, Nathan Bedford Forrest and another Confederate general by the name of Albert Pike that came up with the first Klan.
Helped start the Klan, right?
That Klan started dying off, and then in 1914,
15.
when they created the Birth of the Nation, and the Democratic president Woodrow Wilson invited them to the White House and said this was living history after they played the movie for them. And D.W. Dartmouth, who made the movie, I'm not going to say who he is, because I don't want Bernard's channel to get a strike. And the actors, if you know what I'm talking about, look at Hollywood and look at how it's controlled today. It was those people that own most of the slaves. 29% of the slaves were owned by that elk. And they decided that they were going to now pin blacks against white because some blacks started getting smart about, hey, why don't we sue corporations? Like that talk started happening because those companies like your Chase Manhattan Banks, your AIG Insurance that insured slaves. So if the slave master killed one of them, you could go get your money back and get another one. And brothers are going ham on trying to get reparation from the government, where only 2% of the whites actually own slave in this country. And so a lot of whites feel some type of way saying, hey, we never owned slave. Why do we have to pay reparation when we had to work hard ourselves? When brothers can go after the corporations that still exist today and sue them and probably win out of court. So I'm good with reparation. I just think we're going to work about it the wrong way.
I agree with Fatal Dose that you got to go after the corporations. There's these, what you got to look at, there's these things called title companies that still exist today. And if you look at the title companies, you can sue them. But let me say to Fatal Dose, and all due respect to him, apologize for going off on you, brother. I just want to stay straight here that most of the Americans who weren't slave owners, they actually have benefited from what slave owners did in the past. Right. And when you look at the 3-5 compromise, how did that happen? 3-5 compromise happened is because there were more black slaves in the South than there were actually white men. You understand what I'm saying? And there were white people or white slave owners. They were the North was concerned that the South would also not only have an economic power, but would have a political power in those Congress seats and Senate seats. So they did a 3-5 man's compromise by saying, okay, well, then you're going to have to let your slaves be able to vote. And they knew that they did that the black man at that time would have more power of the vote over the white man in the South because there were more of us. So that's how they did that 3-5 compromise, which the North was involved in it. So my argument is this, and you all know this, both the North and the South were complicit in the bullshit and fuckery. Period.
That's real. Now, I remember Fatal Dose had said something earlier. It was partially right, but it wasn't all the way right. He said the war wasn't fought over slavery. Well, that depends on which side you're talking about. Because the South totally, like Pablo mentioned, the South totally was fighting to keep slavery. They was fighting to uphold slavery. The North was fighting to try to secure the new industrial complex that was coming into place. They wanted everything to go to machinery, right? Where the South, they wanted to keep slavery, and they didn't want to go to the industrial route. So like they was fighting for different things, but neither was fighting to free the slaves. Right. We can agree that neither was fighting to free the slaves, but to say that nobody was fighting to keep slavery is like that's not true because the South totally was fighting to keep slavery.
But brother, that's not what I said. I said the war itself wasn't fought because of slavery, right? I understand the South was trying to. Well, the South. Hold on. Let me finish. I understand the South was trying to keep their slave, but the South, they were fighting for their economics. And the slavery was just part of their economics.
That was their biggest economic base.
Hold on, let me finish my thought.
Okay,
right. So
go ahead.
So yes, they were fighting for to keep slaves. Yes, right. But to say the war was fought over slavery, the problem is our people seem to think that this was a war about slavery, and that's what I'm trying to get out of their head. The war wasn't about slavery, and when we start to say the war is about slavery, we start putting the idea that there's a group of white people out there that like us, and that's what I disagree with.
I agree with that. I agree with that. The war was over economics and who was going to have power and control, the North or the South, but that that battle was over the what did I just say earlier? Black people were the commodity of that economics. So I think that's the reason why black people in general acquaint the war with slavery, because let's keep it 100% real. We were the economic economy. We were the economic steel pipe. It was nothing else. The cotton gin, all this stuff that took place was because of us. So you can, to a certain degree, make some assumptions in connection to it being slavery, because who was enslaved? It was black people. Of course, you had white people that were indentured servants, but guess what? They got freedom and got a chance to go back to the goddamn back to Great Britain. But bottom line is, we were the commodity.
So, information man, let me wrap a bow around this real quick.
Thank you.
So, to explain it to you, you ever hear white people when they say, well, it was about states' rights?
Yes.
Yes. States' rights to do what? Own slaves. Okay. So it's about economics and diddy-da and da-da-da. Yeah, the economics to do what? To own human beings so I can profit from their labor.
So therefore, it would be based in slavery. Right. Use your sense.
Mm-hmm. All right.
America was the number one. America was the number one producer of cotton in the world, and that was coming from the South through slavery.
Hey, can you get Brother Bernard? That's facts. Can you get Brother AC back up on the panel, because he has some things he wanted to say.
Yeah, the last time he was trying to get back in, I was going to let him in, but it wasn't letting me do it. But at first, I was just not letting him in, because even when somebody's talking that he agree with, he can't help but interrupt and start trying to talk over. I'm like, you and Info on the same team, and you keep butting in on him. Like, so hopefully he cool now, man. So
yeah, get AC back up here, because I do have respect for Brother AC.
Bro, I wasn't. The thing is, I'm out here working, y'all. I was trying to cut a lawn, weed whack, and then get back to y'all. So that's why my voice was up. I wasn't trying to cut in on the brother. I apologize. The brother never answered my questions, Bernard. None of them.
No, he didn't.
None of them. I mean, and the crazy part about it is, everything that y'all just said, I just said the exact same thing on Psycho's channel Saturday. Did I not, Psycho? Everything y'all just said.
I did a whole presentation on this exact topic.
Everything. Like, you guys don't even allow me to talk. Like, I'll talk for 2 seconds. All right, see, shut up, hurry up. And then everybody else gets to go on a diatribe and say whatever they want to say. And my thing is, all I wanted the brother to do was to explain to us exactly what part of that heritage did he find. And I'm glad Psycho brought up the third point that I was trying to make. That's not even a fucking Confederate flag that he got up there. That's a rebel flag, a rebellious flag. So my thing is, man, it's like, if you have an opposition to people's voices and you say it passionately, we're wrong, we're emotional. I wasn't emotional. I'm passionate about this. I love being black. I'm proud to be black. And anytime I see black people rebel against their blackness and then try to make indefensible excuses and defenses against it, it just kind of rubs me the wrong way. We're in a fucked up situation in this country, and then we got black people not wanting to be black, not wanting to represent blackness, but want to represent a traitorous flag, and then talk shit about Psycho and call him all kind of names and all this kind of crazy shit. When, sir, you're not even,
which is crazy, by the way.
Sir, you're not even articulating coherently what you stand for. You're just running from the pushback from people who may have the intellectual prowess to crush your bullshit. And that's what happens every time you come over here. People drop out the clouds. If you're against them or you sound pro-black, then you're wrong. Now, information man, me and you are cool, bro. I have no.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got no disrespect for you.
I dig you greatly, and you know that
I got to get you on the show too, brother.
Platform, the information that you put out. So I don't get what you were trying to say to me about New Jersey. I'm gonna give you a little Snapple fact.
No, what I was saying is that
also adopted the SS flag for their state trooper uniforms. And
what I was saying
of the large Nazi population in America was found in Sussex and Warren County of New Jersey. I'm very familiar with my state's racist past, because it's still racist as fuck to this day, probably even more than most Southern states.
Why you think we think?
I made that
me
point.
And Psycho are the way that we are, because we deal with it on a daily basis. We live amongst the most diverse communities in the world. The
Right,
Northeast
I do,
is
and I
we
do
have
too. Where I'm at,
everybody, every nationality, every
right?
ethnicity
No,
that is on the fucking planet lives over here. So we have
right,
to put up with racism from all non-black groups.
right. Check
So
this out.
don't take
I
when we
live.
come on here and we speak the way we do, like we're just these irrational people that
No,
don't know.
no.
Me and Psycho
AC.
talk about this all the time.
Okay,
And it's
AC.
crazy how this was just the topic me and him talked about on Saturday.
I hear you.
So
AC, what I was trying to,
like
what I was,
I really
no,
dig
no,
the
no.
channel. I like coming to fuck with you. Me and Hood was having a conversation. It's
Right.
just those guys that come in with their stereotypes and their propaganda. Like those are the
Right.
ones I can't have a conversation with because they're being disingenuous.
But AC, let me ask you this question. All I was basically trying to say when I was making my point to that guy is that, and when you look at all the northern states, New Jersey was the last northern state, if I'm correct, to actually end their system of slavery. And what you just said makes sense. You got all these different ethnic groups bringing all their bullshit. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. I'm not on any opposing ladders with you, brother. I'm 100% with you, Psychopathist, everybody on the panel. I just want to say that. And let me give Bernard some super chat money.
Appreciate that. And Just, or I should say Jay Freeman just came through on the cash, dropped $20 cash app. He says, for these dudes are fired. Thank you both. Thank you very much for that for that cash app. Thank you very much for that. All right, we got Hood Conservative on the panel. So let's see where this go. But shout out to you. Thank you for coming on up. Shout out to Red Sings the Blues in the building. He says New Jersey is liberal but still racist. However, New Jersey is aristocratic than in the South where it is direct. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. We also got G Dizzle in the building. A serious question. How do they feel about the first legally recognized slaveholder in America allegedly being a black man?
Everybody always throws that black man. A black man had slaves too. Like a whole bunch of black men were slave owners. The majority of slave owners in this country were white males and white females. You know, that's the argument that people like to throw out there as, well, a black man had.
Let me add this too. A lot of what's seen when you see black people own slaves, and you would see it a lot in Louisiana, South Carolina, Virginia, and this such. What you are also seeing is people buying their relatives.
Woo!
Oh yeah, yep. I did look that up. It was a lot of
what I'm talking
about.
A
lot of that going on, and that's actually the black people who owned slaves that were owning them for the purpose of better me own them than a white person. Let me just get the paperwork right to where I own them there. That is actually a noble thing.
But see, Bernard, you don't normally have somebody that brings that history up that Pablo's bringing up about how a lot of black people had to buy back their folks. And at that time, it was seen as what? Like you said, a slave system. And then Negroes in the 21st century, we read a couple of lines in a book and we say, oh, black people were slave owners, just like white people. Ignorance. Fucking learn to understand history and diagnose it. God.
Yeah, back then, if you were black and you did something to get your freedom, the first thing you're supposed to do is try to buy that. Hold on, Psycho. You got some kind of background or feedback.
But they do that. They do that because they want to give the Southerners and they want to give the white people an excuse and give them a pass on it. It's a way to say, man, can't we just leave that in the past? That's why they always try to bring up the black people owned slaves. They don't talk about that it was just basically people buying their family back to get their family structure back because they had acquired the money to do so. They don't want to talk about that because
I agree with that. Even though I do agree that black people, we do be bitching too much about. But I ain't going there. That ain't the show today. But we're gonna go to Hood Conservative. But yeah, we do be crying about the past a lot. But that's a whole nother situation. But go ahead, Hood Conservative. Thank you for the super chat information, man.
Hood, what's up, my brother? What's up, Hood?
What up, y'all? And shout out to everybody on the panel today. I just have a question, and I didn't want to type it in the chat and get it lost. I actually want to get you guys like honest and thoughtful opinion on this. And I think it's kind of relevant too. So here it is. If today in America right now, you could own a slave, would you buy one? Like if you could go down to Home Depot and get like a 6-pack of Guatemalans, would you do it?
No, I wouldn't.
No.
So you guys are all morally upright, superior people.
I'm telling you, I wouldn't do it. You don't want to accept my answer. I don't know what to tell you. I wouldn't do it.
I accept it. I accept it. I just wanted to get you to double down on it.
There are dangers involved in that.
Real quick.
What type of Guatemalans are we talking about?
Can we answer
everybody stop.
What type do you want to buy, my nigga?
Whoa, hey, can y'all hear the host trying to talk?
I just want to answer one at a time.
That question is almost loaded, because are these people volunteering to be slaves, or are they being forced into slavery? If they can
it's slavery. What kind of question? It's slavery. Do you care where slaves come from?
Damn. All right. So the $1 million question is, if you're living in a country where somebody can be forced into slavery, then your black ass could technically be forced into slavery too.
Thank you.
Even entertain that. And
I never said racial slavery, bro. I just said slavery was legal.
No. That's why I said if we talking about living in a country where somebody can be forced into slavery, then you have to concede that it's very possible that you could somehow be forced in it. So the answer to your question is no. I wouldn't buy a slave if slaves were available to be bought, because I don't want.
This is what's interesting about what conservative says. He said if you could buy a slave in today's legally, would you do it? And he says it's not a racial thing, but the first thing he went to was talking about people from either across the border or South America.
Guatemala's not a race. Why would I enslave my own neighbors? What the fuck?
Well, look. But let me ask you this question:
Can I just give an anecdote real quick?
Why would you bring up a question like that when, one, realistically, we can't own slaves legally in this country, although some can make an argument that there are people that are in slavery economically when you work for an employee. We're all economic slaves to a certain degree, because if you don't have your own business and you go to a job, you're giving your labor, your human resource, to a company. So some of us are working from paycheck to paycheck in a system that is like slavery, not like shackle slavery. And if I know my history well, and I have some humanity about myself, why would I want to enslave other people in the manner that maybe some of my ancestors were enslaved in? That's insidious, and that speaks to your character as a man and as a person, if you even want to be on that type of evil frequency, brother. So I say no to that nonsense that you just said, in my opinion.
Can I just give an anecdotal, Hood? Like, Hood, I'm in the landscaping business, right? And that's what Guatemalans that just come here, and that's what they look for. I don't deal with them, though. Like, because that's what I look at them as. I look at them as people taking advantage of them because they're desperate and they're looking for work, right? Like, so no, we I wouldn't get slaves. And I'm in a position now to where I can go get Guatemalans and pay them $25 to help me cut 20 lawns. That would be economic slavery. That would be damn near slavery to do that to them. And I know a lot of white contractors and a lot of white landscapers who do that to them. So no, bro, I wouldn't do it. And I'm giving you anecdotal evidence to where I can do it now, but I choose not to.
So I want to answer as well, if I could.
All right, I do want to throw out real quick, and it's something that we talked about on this show when we was having a slavery discussion. If you think about these large companies that are paying basically pennies to people overseas working in sweatshops, they practically paying a slave wage to get to work and get the labor done. So I mean,
Where do you think your Jordans come from?
It's so many slippery slopes when it comes to that. But if you're asking me right now in this country,
right,
if I could buy somebody
in hood conservative,
the answer is no on the principles. But I want to go to Pablo, but I don't even think hood conservative actually fully fleshed out why he's asking that question.
Nikes are made in sweatshops in Asia because the Asian government is allowing American governments to be able to do what? Use their people as slave labor or as cheap labor. That's China allowing that to happen.
Thank you. So let's keep
it 100% real, my brother.
Thank you.
Hey, wait a minute. Information man, though. Hold on. Information man. The only reason that happens, though, is because we support it. If you're buying an iPhone and Apple's up there and Foxconn putting suicide nets so that people won't kill themselves so they could force them to make more iPhones.
Yes, sir.
We're responsible for that. That's why I don't own an iPhone.
That's why
I don't buy
Most black people don't understand that.
That's why I don't own an iPhone. That's why I don't buy Nike shoes.
Most black people most black people don't even know that information, though. So it's unfair.
We're not responsible for that. Yeah, because that country provides that. Like, that country needs to have regulations where corporations treat their workers better. That's not
hold on.
That's not the consumer's issue. That's the
Hold
country.
on. Let's back up. Let's back up. So wait a minute. Then somebody on the panel, Then somebody in the panel just said that white people who weren't slave owners benefited from the other whites that had slaves. So what are you doing?
All white people benefited.
All right, let me
say this. Right, that's the point I'm making. So now we're done. Hold on. Let me finish my thought. My thought.
Okay, and I got a rebuff for what you said too. Go ahead, brother.
But we're benefiting from the misery of the Chinese people, who, by the way, it's their own people forcing them to do this. So it's not a racial slavery; it's more of an economic slavery for them.
Yes, sir.
But we are the consumers. We're the reason why they're doing that to their people.
Yes.
So there's no way to get around that. You can't just say.
Our people, amongst other races of people in this country, do consume a lot of iPhones. Not me personally, but a lot of people do. But it's not. This ain't an exclusive thing. It's the black people. That's this country's thing.
No, I didn't say black people. I'm talking about the country as a whole. But
let me just say this.
Everybody, real quick. Pablo was trying to get in, and
I wanted to answer.
The whole damn panel cut him off. So go ahead, Pablo.
I wanted to answer the question of would I have owned slave? Well, would I own a slave?
Mm-hmm.
I compare that question to a question similar to, would you be willing to own a pride of tigers? Owning slaves was a dangerous proposition. That is why the United States has a gun culture now, because they needed those guns.
Mm.
There were revolts, plantation owners and overseers were killed, maimed. This idea that we didn't fight back and all that stuff. No, crops were burned, tools destroyed. It wasn't just, I'm just gonna own the slaves and everything gonna be cool. No, how many slaves participating in the slave trade and slave ships and moving slaves from place to place was one of the most dangerous activities of the time. Many were killed, lost at sea, all kinds of stuff. The idea that Africans just went quietly is a bunch of bullshit. So not just because it's immoral, yes, it is absolutely immoral, and I wouldn't do it, but it's also it was also a very dangerous proposition to own a human being. That is dangerous.
All right, now I do want to throw it back.
Can I make just one point to what Fatal Dose says, and I'll be very quickly. This is the difference. It's the Chinese government is manipulating their people for cheap labor. We benefit because we can buy a iPhone or whatever technology. This is the difference. Why you can't compare it in the same way. White people benefited from slavery economically. They got generational wealth. They developed wealth. Black people buying an iPhone and buying gadgets actually as consumers does not develop wealth for us, because why? We're spending our money on products. White people not only spend their money on the product of buying a slave, which made them money, but they have the generational wealth in the institutions that you see today, which they benefit from because of. Name me one black person who is benefiting economically as far as generational wealth in institutions and businesses because we can go out and be consumers of Nike shoes and all these gadgets. We are losing our money.
Michael Jordan.
Wait a minute. That's a ridiculous example, because Michael Jordan is a commodity working as an athlete, making millions of dollars. He's one Negro and a bowl of Raisin Bran. Okay, when you eat that Raisin Bran, you get a couple of raisins at the bottom. Only a few.
All right. I want to hold on. Everybody,
you said one, brother, and I did.
Everybody went crazy when Hood Conservative asked that question. So I want them to really flesh out what's the point, reason, and purpose for even asking that question. Like, what were you really trying to get at?
Well, for one, I think I accept you guys' answer. I think you're all being highly disingenuous. Chances are, if given that you were born. I can let you all talk. Given that you were born into that culture, I don't think you would have the same sense of morality that you guys are waving around right now. I think it's highly disingenuous. But that aside, I wanted to raise the question.
You didn't say born into a culture.
You said if we go to Home Depot, we can go to Home Depot right now and go get some.
Right.
And pick up a 6-pack of slaves.
Look, conservative. What you're doing is you're moving the goalposts. You said if you could go to Home Depot, if you could pick somebody would you do it? You didn't say anything about
Let's
being
get it
born
right.
into
He
a
said
culture.
6-pack of slaves.
Right.
Yeah, 6-pack of Guatemalans.
Being born into a culture of slavery where you're being raised as a child and all those things like that is a whole different scenario as to one that you ask. Why would you ask that question and then want to turn it around?
That's what I'm trying to get
beating
at.
your argument. We're beating your argument.
Hold on. I'm trying to get his answer as to the reason why. So I want to see what he's getting at. Hello?
Hold on, give me a minute. You guys are breaking up.
Okay.
All of a sudden we breaking up.
Info man, be cool.
Real quick.
Hold on.
I don't have Guatemalans working for me. I have black people working for me. My point I was trying to make is I don't hire Guatemalans. I have black people working for me. So I do employ my own. I don't employ Guatemalans because my thing is, let me see a Guatemalan with a black person on their lawn cleaning trucks, and then I'll put a Guatemalan on mine. So I don't hire Guatemalans, bro.
All right, go ahead, conservative. What are you getting at here? What's the purpose? Rather we would or wouldn't? What's the point? What's the big deal?
I mean, to be honest, I just want to throw a little chaos into it because you guys are really emotionally attached to the concept of slavery, and I just want to point out that
should we not
85% of your clothing that you wear
hold
right
on.
80.
Let him go.
Everything we set up here, hood conservative.
Come on,
y'all.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, hood conservative.
No, I'm just making the case that we are oddly emotionally attached to this historical relic of slavery, but everything you're wearing right now is probably 80% made by slaves.
Let me just say this to you. I think that most of what people have said on the panel today, even if we say it with emotions, because black people, we are emotional, let's be honest. Most of what we've talked about has been based in history. So why would you set up here and lower it to something as being a relic, not important? This is history. It's not like we're just getting up here making up stuff. Everything that we've talked about is based in history, and you can't change it. What you do is you learn from history and you move forward. Now, just because I can speak about these things and any brother up here passionately, it doesn't mean that I'm scared to go out my damn door and fight against the system and be as successful as possible. You can see this is the thing.
Well, you're comparing relics to modern culture. Like that's a relic. You admit it's a relic.
This is the thing that I don't understand about black
versus
people.
what's happening right now.
Hood. Let me just say this. This is the thing that I don't understand about black.
Some of that relic is still
let me just make this point.
Society, though, Hood.
Right.
You don't
let me
think
just make this
some of
point.
the relics from that time is still in modern society? Like
Hood, let me just say this to you, Hood.
Some of the effects of it.
Right. Let me say this to you, Hood. This is the thing that always blows me away. You got Jewish people, Japanese people, other groups of people in this country who have gone through some type of Holocaust or some type of oppression, right? And they still send their kids to college and get professional degrees and build their money up and work together in code as a community, right? And they do that at the same time. The Jewish community will say to you, never, never again. You don't hear their kids using slurs like we use to identify ourselves, like the N-word. You don't see any other group doing that. And if they do it behind the closed doors. So they still they still get it in society.
Black people can't say never again.
But listen.
We can't say never again.
Listen what I'm saying.
You know why we can't say never again? Because slavery never stopped for black people in Africa. It never stopped. So you can never say never again.
Listen, this is where you missed the point. Jewish people will hold you accountable for saying anything that's related to their oppression. Look what happened to Nick Cannon. They will kick you off of television, radio. They'll kick you off of YouTube. Because why? They have a sense of pride. They still get it out there in society, but they still recognize their history and they teach their kids. What do you think by mitzvahs and all these celebrations that they go through? Because they don't want their kids not to know their history.
History is a part of the curriculum in school.
History is power. If you don't know what happened in your past, you don't know what's going to happen to you going forward. And this is what's sad about some black people. Because we may talk about slavery and other glorious things in our history, like positive things, black people always keep telling black people, don't talk about history. Stop talking about it. Even if it's not slavery, they'll say, oh, stop bringing up this person all the time. And no other ethnic group does that publicly. And that's what's embarrassing about some black people.
Well, Info Man,
do you understand other people? Hold on,
AC. Info Man, do you think that other people do a better job at saying, yes, this is our history, we're going to learn it, we're going to study it from an academic standpoint, and we're just going to know it, versus when black people do it, it's like this is our history, and they're still doing it to us, and we're still victims, and we're still getting hit by the whips, and then so it does turn into a whole victim mentality, victim narrative that I think is holding us where we at.
I think part of the problem. I think part of the part. Let me just say this to Bernard, and I'll stop.
Damn, I guess I can't talk.
I'll just say this one point.
You got next. You got next. Psycho.
You got next, Psycho. Because you asked me the question. That's why I'm trying to answer. I think that there are black people who hold on to victimism because they get some benefit from it. And I think the reason why we continue to be in that state sometimes, some of us, not all of us, is because unlike those groups that you just named, what do they have that we don't have? They have a code, they have economic stability, they have generational wealth, they have businesses, they have things that they can lay their hands on. Why do you think Temple University was created? Jewish people created Temple. They created universities.
But we can't get those things and be victims at the same time.
Right, but at the same time, black people, unlike other groups, they didn't come over here under the same foundation that we came over here. And we're just not on code. Let's just be honest. We're not on code, brothers. And that's why we can't get it to fucking together. Those groups are on code, but those other groups didn't have certain obstacles thrown in their way in the way that black people did. Now in there, because I know Psycho wants to break it down.
Go ahead, Psycho.
Yeah. Like it just the fact that you had a black man up on here with a Confederate flag on his background thinking it's cool just goes to show history does need to keep getting talked about, because he doesn't even understand the true nature and history of that flag. He could he didn't answer any questions, nothing. He just deflected, started talking about Black Lives Matter, and started talking all this lost cause talking points that's been debunked over and over again by me and many others. It is not hard to debunk that nonsense. But just the fact that he thought that was a good idea just goes to show that history does need to be taught. History does need to be said. And me, myself, I'm a person who loves history, and people ain't going to shame me out of that. And yes, I do speak on it because that's a passion of mine. But I can walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. I could worry about moving forward while talking about history, so we don't repeat the same mistakes that we did in the past. And as far as the analogy that I said, then I'm gonna pass the mic. As far as the analogy that I heard about the iPhones and us, the slavery and us benefiting from the iPhones and everything else. Well, that would be like me saying that we need to go all these other countries for reparations because they brought all the cotton. Black people made the cotton and they brought all the cotton overseas and benefited from it. But we're not asking them for reparations. We're asking this country for reparations. So the people the country where they being enslaved at, like information said, out in Asia, they need to find the country out in Asia that they being enslaved in, and they need to holler at them. That's a problem for them. That's a them problem.
All right. Before
hold on. When we make, I just thought it was weird because I didn't think about this when I raised the question. I did want to see where it would go, but that is an interesting analogy, though. That is very similar to how you say, well, white people benefited from slavery just by the fact that you exist in the country where slavery, produced all these things. You get to live off the benefits. Won't the Asians turn around and be like, well, you black people, you benefited off our Jordans. We had to die so you could rock fresh Jordans. Will they turn around and want reparations from us?
I literally just explained how that's a false dichotomy.
Can I jump in here because I'll make this statement?
No, but that's only in your opinion. What's going to stop them from saying that? Because look, they're saying that about us.
They can't, because when we say that, we talk about people in this country because slavery happened in this country. What you're trying to do is put us blame slavery that happened in other countries on us, and that's not what we're saying.
All right.
Yeah, and what benefit do we get from
SKC got a question on the board.
What benefit do we get from sneakers?
This is a potentially, I'm just going to read it. I mean, y'all can see it up there. Why not have the same energy for West Africa? Are there not benefactors in Africa? Many move to the UK from African slavery. Anybody want to respond directly to that before I pass it to?
Well, that's true, but what we have to do is we have to talk about why that existed. The slavery in Africa was more or less POWs, prisoners of war, as tribes fought. They didn't have slaves where they used them to build the economic powerhouse. They were people who lost the war and then were enslaved. And as Fasting Life said on Kuda the other day, he talked about how some of those people became a part of families eventually, where families branded them, whether with an earring or some particular piece of jewelry that let people know this person was no longer a slave. He's now been integrated into the family. So when we talk about that particular form of slavery is not akin to the chattel slavery that took place in America. See, and again, that's just an attempt to excuse the white people who committed the atrocity because you guys want to align with them. And that's what this is all about. So no matter what we say about history, no matter what we say about we can deal with oppression and be successful in life, it's still going to boil down to, well, you guys are just bringing us stuff we need to leave in the past because you guys want to assuage and give these people a pass. We don't. We want to hold them accountable for what they did. And they should be held accountable just like any other civilization was held accountable for when they did wrong to citizens or when they did wrong to people. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think
I'm
a
not
lot of
about
times you guys
I'm not about trying to excuse what was wrong, and that's why
not you, bro, not you,
no,
bro.
I understand, but that's why I was kind of side-eyeing SKC's question because yeah, they was wrong as hell, but then again, when you come in with the energy, I want to hold these people accountable. Like you're trying to hold people that have been dead for 300 years accountable. It's like.
Yeah, let me get on that, Bernard.
Can I jump on here, man? I've been trying to get in.
You have Fortune 500 corporations that
Bernard,
made their
can I get in?
millions in their wealth off slavery that still exist today.
Who
Fleet Bank,
cares?
better known as Bank of America, insurance companies. You have thousands
hold on,
of corporations that make money off that.
All right, we're gonna pass to Trey. Well, emancipated niggers in the building says some black folks would never have heard of the word. I think she means the N-word if it weren't for their own family members calling them that. How many of you have been called that by white people? Honestly, the only time I've ever been called that to my face by a white person is when I was about in the 5th grade. A white boy on a bike was riding by on his bike and he yelled it and then started trucking real fast, and then me and my brother eventually tracked him down and beat him up. But other than that, that was the only time I've ever been called it to my face by a white person. But anyway, there's that. I'll give that. Everybody don't got to share their personal N-word moment. But go ahead, Trey to MBD.
Man, what's going on, y'all? I mean, I wish I had caught the beginning, man, with Ricky Manor up here. The Confederate flag, man. It's just something that's triggering for Negroes. It is what it is, man. Some folks get triggered by it, some folks today. If you want to do really, dig into your history, it originated as the battle flag of Northern Virginia. And it was just, hey, they found a flag to rock with, and a lot of states, threw it on their flag, including, Minnesota, used it for a part of time at one of their cities as a flag. So it's just a flag, y'all. And here's the other part. Nobody up here was slave. Nobody granddaddy up here was a slave. Can nobody go back into history and up here and actually give an accurate description of what happened, because nobody's ancestor was alive back then. And that time, as we look at what's taking place over the last decade, history has been skewed. Like, y'all have allowed the Irish to be completely written out as slaves when the history is still sitting there in written documents that you can go into any library, any real library with real written print and look up. But nah, all niggas can do is go on Google. Oh, Google said this. My history book that I learned in that white school taught me this. Of course, they're going to whitewash the history because they don't want emotional ninjas getting all mad. Maybe they do. My bad. They do want ninjas all emotional because guess what? If you marginalize black folks and point them at you, hey, the white man is your oppressor, guess what? You'll forever be mentally oppressed and be up here 170 years after slavery, still whining and crying about it versus just getting it in. So what? Some corporations made bank off of it. Guess what? You can go out there and use those same corporations now and make bank off of it. Are we supposed to go up there in South Carolina when William Ellison's descendants hold a freaking family reunion every year on his freaking old plantation? Are we supposed to get mad and go protest them black folks where white people that had nothing to do with slavery live on that plantation now? Come on, y'all being real disingenuous.
Let me sit up here and let me sit up here. I've been quiet for about a minute.
I just want to ask a quick question for clarity. Did you just say that the Irish were slaves? That's all I want to know. Did you just say the Irish were slaves?
My great-great-grandfather was an Irish slave, bro.
Irish was not slaves in this country.
Bro, how you gonna tell me, bro?
I'll come back around to that.
My great grandfather was, bro.
The Irish was not slaves.
All right,
the Irish was not slaves.
What happened?
That's a lie. That's a lie.
So I don't really care.
Face lie.
I want to make this point. I gotta make this point.
He came up here.
Gotta make this point.
For not having black slave.
Let me just make this point. Let me make my point.
Look at the irony of that. This man just came up here and poo-poo all of us for talking about slavery and then said my great-great-grandfather was an Irish slave. Look at the fucking irony of that.
So look, check this
out. How emotional y'all get. Y'all are emotional. You're like, you know what? Y'all are so emotionally attached to it.
All right, we going.
No, I'm telling you, we're laughing at.
We going.
Yes,
all right, I'm muted, y'all. We
trying
going
to
to info
explain to you.
man. We going to info man. We going to info man. We y'all was about to get
okay
on some bull. All right, go ahead, info man.
We know through history that there were what you call indigent servants who came over from Europe, and a lot of them were given reparations and money when they went back. Matter of fact, even Dr. King said this, that there were many Europeans in that situation who were given land grants and opportunities. So once again, even white people, when they were put in some indentured servitude, they were given economic stability. Now, the brother got on here and said that we're whining about racism. No, we're not. There was a brother on this channel who had the Confederate flag, and most of what we talked about is based in history. Nobody's whining. Then he said he talked about his grandfather, great-grandfather being Irish and being a slave, but yet he wants to discount whether we as black men on this panel can tell a story about our family. He's very foolish because he doesn't know who the fuck he's dealing with.
I'm not crying about the information, man.
Let me just say this to you. Let me give you let me give you some history. I am an ancestor. No, let me just give you some history, brother. You're not. Check this out.
Go read a book, man.
You're not.
Read a real book. You're not Google information.
You're not triggering.
Information ain't facts, bro. You're triggered.
I'm not triggered because I'm gonna give you some history. That's my point. Let me make my point. God damn. The point that I'm trying to make, because he wants to get goofy about Google, is that I know my history, brother. My family goes deep back to North Carolina, Baltimore, which is the most northernest southern state. I know my history. I am an ancestor of freemen. So I can link myself back to the goddamn ship because of my knowing of my history and my family bringing that history down to me. So that's what I'm saying. When you get up here,
when you say
listen to me.
When you say freemen,
can I finish what I'm saying? When you were arrogant and to say to black men on this panel,
I'm arrogant. You're damn right I'm an arrogant, confident black man.
You were arrogant. Let me just finish, because you said a whole lot. You were, in my opinion, you were arrogant to determine that the black men on this panel didn't know their history. I'm a black man who does know my history, and I can go all the way back to my ancestor because we have the documents, and I've seen them. I can go back to my ancestor asking for land and freedom because he was also part of a native tribe. I got the documents.
Okay, so address William Ellison.
So I can go back. Address everything. I can go back to my great grandmother.
William Ellison.
No, but what I'm saying is,
William Ellison.
You just said to me, you just said to everybody on the panel,
William
and most of you Negroes don't know your history. And then you sit up here and said that we're just whining when everything that we talked about is based in history and things that happened. That's why we had this conversation today. Not for you to come up here and now trying to claim
you history that happened information, man. Address it. Address William Ellison.
What history? What are you talking about?
Address William Ellison.
What about William Ellison?
Address it. Real history.
No, I can address my history. You just said
I rest my case. I rest my case.
No,
y'all niggas don't know history.
No, I do know history. You just said that we don't know our individual history, that none of us can go back to a slave in our family. And I just sat up here and told you I can go back into my family and look at that.
So can I.
That was my point.
So can I.
That was my point. My other point is don't sit up here and assume.
Info-man, can you talk about the freeman part? You say your ancestors were freemen.
What happened is my ancestor, his name was O'Bain. What happened in this country is that you did have Native American tribes that captured black people into their tribes as a quote-unquote, they're part of slavery. There were black people who took on Native American names. They married into tribes. There were even Native American tribes who had English-sounding names, okay? Chickasaw is the tribe that I come from. In the research in my family, we found my ancestor, trying to claim the nation and getting the land at that particular time when he was a part. There are a lot of freemen that are black ancestry who are not able to get their just due. You even have Native American tribes today that have sued to keep the freemen from getting what is just due. And the reason why they don't recognize the freemen is because most of the freemen are great grandfathers and people, and they don't have tribal records to go back and say, hey, I was a part of this tribe. Because most tribes during that time, they put you through ceremonies. Reason why I know this because my mother is a member of the Black Native American Association. Okay, so what I'm basically saying to you is that I think I'm not putting you down about your grandfather, Irish and all that. I'm just saying be careful when you tell black men on a panel or anywhere
Man, I ain't gotta be
that
careful
we
of
don't
shit,
know.
man.
We don't
You're
know
a
our
free
history.
man. You're a free thinker. You can say whatever the fuck you want. Man, get some nuts
Just make
information,
sure
man.
Hey, he totally forgot. Wait a minute, Brother Bernard. No, I got to talk to Bernard right now. Wait a minute, Brother Bernard. What is he talking about? He just asked a question, and I'm answering the question. He said
I
no
gave
black
you
man.
history. I gave you history, and you won't touch it. I
You
gave you real history, and you won't touch it.
No, brother,
Pseudo
I gave you
history.
my.
The Irish were slaves. The Irish were slaves.
They were slaves.
Yeah, that's pseudo. That's pseudo. And I'll debate you anytime on it.
What
I'll
I just
debate you anytime you want on it.
What I
I
just
will
said to
debate
you
you anytime you want on it. I will debate you on
they were
it.
European.
The Irish were not slaves. That is false information.
Right. The
That
Irish
is
came
white
over.
supremacist. That's white supremacist rhetoric. The Irish were indentured. Do you understand the difference? Do you understand the difference between indentured servitude? I'm about to ask you a question. I'm about to ask you a question. Do you understand the difference between indentured servitude and slavery?
Right. You know the difference between that.
Do you understand the difference? Because you obviously you don't. Because if you did, you would never call the Irish slaves.
Were you alive back? Were you alive then?
I don't need to be alive back then to understand what the history is.
In your family.
I don't care what your Irish family told you. Your Irish family lied. Your Irish family lied to you. Your Irish family lied to you. Your Irish family lied to you.
Hey, Psychopathias, let me let you know something.
You can't give me no scholarly. You can't give me no scholastic information to back up that claim. None.
All right, Trey. He wasn't alive back then. So what's the point?
This what happened. Most European Irish,
I can't say shit.
Irish were treated poorly like Italians when they came over here as immigrants.
Irish
they were not brought over here. And the ones that
I'm trying to answer.
Hold on, Trey. I want Trey to answer.
Ones that came over. No, because Trey's been very disrespectful.
I can't let a free thinker talk.
You're not a free thinker. Because you stupid. You sound stupid. I sit up here and say my history. You sound stupid. Wow. Let me give you some bullshit. Fuck ass.
Tell the truth.
Motherfucker.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Get his ass off the goddamn. Get your ass off the punk ass motherfucker. Get your punk ass off.
You sound like Burr Rabbit, bro.
You sound like Bear Rabbit too, nigga.
You coon.
You ain't a free thinker. You a free bullshitter.
Man, I tell you, man, y'all coons get triggered so easy.
I thought you couldn't hear
I want to
nobody.
know what's scholastic information.
All right, so can I answer
the Irish were slaves.
He talking about look. He talking about Irish people.
Because I smack this Smith around on a regular basis.
All right. Trey, I do want to get down to the bottom of this because Trey,
Trey. That's what I got to say to you, nigga. Fuck you, because you stupid. You sound like dumb. You sound dumb. Here you go. He got some more shit for you. Shut your ass up, nigga. Shut your ass up.
Tell the truth.
Shut your punk ass up.
Let me turn my soundboard on.
I'm muting everybody. I do need an answer from Trey. They said that was historically wrong, and there's no historical documentation.
It is wrong.
Hold on, the info. Chill for a second. Trey,
Dumbass
her
nigga.
response was, "Were you alive back then?" Okay,
that wasn't my final response.
I'm trying to get your response. They weren't alive back then. You weren't alive back then. So I'm just trying to get down to the bottom of how is that viable response. I want to hear you explain this. Go ahead.
Okay, so here's the deal. Instead of
come on, info, come on, man. Go ahead, Trey.
So here's the thing,
he totally disrespected me. Be a fucking bitch at that, nigga. I'm coming at you. Hey, matter of fact, take your goddamn avatar off. Look at me in the fucking eye, bitch. Now.
You want me to
look me in the goddamn eye.
You sounding all sus up here, man. You want me to cam up?
Because I'm going off on you,
bro.
Yeah, cam up, bitch.
Bro, you
cam up, bitch. Because you fucking living in bitch.
Sus,
you probably looking in bitch
now
environment.
Now you a hood nigga. Now
not a hood nigga. I'm calling you out because you was disrespectful to me, and I ain't gonna take it.
You don't want that life information.
No, I do want that life. Nigga, I'll take that life. You don't know me. I'll take that life. Come on, bring it to me. Bring it to me, bro. Bring it to me, bitch.
You are going Pookie on him.
I know, but this is the thing, Bernard. He's been very disrespectful to all the brothers up here. And then he wants us to listen to him.
I just want to hear him explain, because I personally don't think he has a good answer.
He don't have no more than us
I don't have any answer.
Then why you coming at us like that? I know my history, nigga.
Answer.
I want
go ahead, Avatar Negro. Go ahead, Avatar.
Right. Info man, I want him to say his answer.
All right.
He said the Irish was slaves.
Let the Avatar Negro talk. Who don't show him?
I said there's no historical evidence of that. He went to something as simple as, were you alive back then? I'm like, he wasn't alive back then either. I do want to hear him try to explain or make it make sense.
All right.
I honestly want to hear this. So go ahead, Trey.
I went off because he was.
Come on, info.
All right.
Quit unmuting yourself. See, this is why I need to get Zoom.
I'll mute myself. Zoom is terrible. Don't use Zoom.
I like StreamYard better, but at least with Zoom, you mute somebody, they can't unmute themselves.
That's true, but on Zoom, all you see is people's names. Zoom is weak, man. Don't use Zoom.
I don't know. I don't like Zoom, but you do got more power.
But Zoom is good for people who don't want to show themselves and hide behind avatars and shit like that.
All right. Go ahead, Trey. Answer the question.
All right. So, and real quick, man, shout out to Leo Anthony when a pro-black conversation becomes a whole nigga moment. That's exactly what happens when free thinkers and pro-blacks get at it. Now,
Come on, answer the question. You about to start back taking shots, and it's going to derail.
I'm not taking shots, man. It's what Bernard. You know that happens every single time.
It does.
Oh, you got dog is a symbol. Right. Four-legged dog is a symbol.
All right. So here's the deal, Bernard. I wasn't alive back then, and nobody on this panel was alive back then. Any brother up here that wants to claim, oh my God, slavery was so bad, my ancestors had it so bad for them. Nobody up here knows if anybody in their lineage owned slaves. Nobody. But here's the deal. If you can go back, like Information Man said, in his own family lineage, and there's written documents, cool. But guess what? So can I. I can go back in my family's written documents and go back to the 16 and 1700s. Now, I know 1800s when the Irish, it's not the Irish, the Italians, Germans and all these folks came over here. The Irish originally came over here as slaves during the potato famine. Now, y'all can look that up in any British history or any Northern Irish
with the potato famine.
Well, we talking about this country. We talking about this country.
A lot of them were indentions.
Hold up.
A lot of them were indentured
to real quick, Trey.
But a lot of them were indentured to the colonies, and a lot of them were not put in shackles. And they were able to be free at one point.
Implement. Hold on, Trey. The hurdle you got to jump over is proving that they were not indentured servitude.
Hold on.
But they were indentured servants, but they were indeed slaves.
Bernard, I don't have to prove Bernard, I don't have to prove anything, bro. I'm just putting these out there.
Wait a minute.
And anybody up here,
you just espousing nonsense, and you ain't willing to back up the shit.
This is why I went off on Bernard. Now he's telling us that he doesn't have to prove anything, but he asked us to prove
This is why there's nothing to prove, Bernard. I didn't ask anybody to prove anything.
Yes, you did.
What did I say? Anybody can say whatever. Anybody can come up here and say whatever the fuck they want.
You sat up here and said that none of us really know our history in terms of slavery. Then when you're asked a question about your knowledge, then you say you don't have to answer, which is not sufficient.
I just gave you an answer, but you won't let me finish the information, man.
Okay, go ahead.
So it's fact. A lot of those Irish slaves were taken to North Africa. Straight from daggone Northern Ireland, straight to North Africa. Africans came there, did trade. The same Africans that sold freaking daggone niggas over here traded with daggone North Africans, Arabs, and stuff like that. The slave trade went both ways. You came over here, Native Americans owned Native Americans. Native Americans owned daggone what's now Mexicans. Native Americans own black folks.
They're the same people.
It is what
Native
it is.
Americans,
Wait a minute.
Native
I just
Americans.
said that.
First of all,
Wait a
Native
minute.
Americans and
I
Mexicans are the
just said
same
that.
people. They're the same
I just
people.
said that. Wait a minute. The shit that he just said, I already said that. I said that Native Americans
and he didn't prove. And he did not prove that the Irish came over here as slaves.
I don't have to prove it.
But that's what you. That was the claim you made.
Prove it.
But I did already. I did a whole stream disproving this. I did a whole stream disproving this on my channel. On my channel, I already did. I'm willing to do it right now in real time. That's why I'm asking you. Can you back up these claims?
Drop the link. I'll invite you on my channel.
Okay, I will drop. You know what? There you go. I'll drop the link of me debunking this myth. Because I was clapping on a bunch of white people, a bunch of Irish white people that was trying to tell me this crap, and I will drop you the link, and you can debunk any claim that I made in that link.
Here's the deal, yeah. Listen, I like history, but a point is being proven here that when it comes to black people, when we start talking about history, we get too much into it. Like it's still a whip being whipped at us. Like I mean, it's real simple. I mean, I don't even see why
this never was originally
intense about it. I mean, Trey said something that his Irish granddaddy was a slave.
Okay,
and if he's asked to substantiate that claim, everybody should be able to just sit back and listen to him.
But I think
right or wrong.
I think the reason why I became triggered by what he said is because it would have been different. He just would have said, "Hey, my ancestor was a slave," blah blah blah. But when he said that, he also made he insinuated that a lot of us on the panel didn't know our history, and then he repeated something that I had already said. He repeated something that I had already said about Native Americans. We talked about indentured servitude. I even admitted that, Irish, when they came over here, they were treated poorly. They said that there are no Irish and dogs need applied signs. And then I also said, because this is in history, that a lot of these Europeans who came over were given opportunity when they came out of indentured servitude. Now, when he talked about Irish being moved over to the continent, remember, there were pirates that captured people. So yes, people have been moving intercontinentally for years.
Okay, so information.
But let me just say this. Let me just say this, and I'll be quiet. But we got to be fair about this, Bernard. When we got on here and had this conversation, you had your guests. This conversation, because we got my man here talking about, this is the oppression Olympics. Yeah, right. We weren't even talking about this bullshit. You brought a guest on here and we were talking about the Confederate flag and we were getting into real history and what it means. This stream wasn't about for us to get up here today and talk about, we've been enslaved. So what happened is that Trey came on and others
talking about slavery. When I turned on.
Let me finish. Hold on, because you know I'm telling the truth, Bernard. You know I'm telling the truth.
I got you. Infoman is making a good point that this was a conversation that did call for a discussion about history.
So because Trey came up here and automatically said that we're Omo is me black folk. Nigga, I'm not old, brother. I'm doing well. I'm college educated, got 2 master's degrees, work as rehab therapist. I'm not letting white supremacy or anything hold me back. All right, I've sent thousands of kids to college.
Got those white degrees, sending them to white universities.
I've helped
to those
many
Marxist training institutions.
So anyway, let me just say this. So I've worked in my community. I've sent kids to school, whether it be college or trade skills, right? I'm a member of a black brotherhood that's been around for over 113 years, longer than anything on this goddamn YouTube. I've sit with brothers like Brother Robert Smith. I've been around brothers who have money or quote unquote high value, whatever you want to call it. So you're not talking to a Negro on this panel who ain't put in no goddamn work. This panel was never about us whining about we in slavery and we can't get it. No, it was about the Confederate flag and the history of it. And then what happened is people like yourself come on the panel and you change the narrative.
I didn't change anything.
You did change the goddamn narrative.
Hold on. Wait. JB been on the panel. He's in the back chat for a while. You've been on the panel for a while. You haven't said nothing. But to Infoman's point, this was one of the conversations where history was legitimately brought up. Sometimes black people bring up history in a conversation when we're talking about what we need to do today. Niggas want to go all the way back to Kemet. I don't like that shit. But this was a legitimate discussion about history because we was talking about the Confederate flag, and that was the topic. I had a guest on, and
can I ask you a question real quick, Bernard, before you go to JB?
So I did want to know, hey, Why do you rock the Confederate flag? So history.
Can I ask you a quick question on that, Bernard?
Organically. Go really quick, really
just for
quick,
Bernard.
and then we go into JB.
Did Ricky bring up the fact that the Confederate flag, and we know it today, is originally the battle flag in Northern Virginia? Did he bring that up?
I don't think he said that, but somebody did.
Okay, yeah, that's originally what it is.
Right.
I brought it up.
Okay, good.
And it actually was Tennessee.
All right, fair, either way. All right, JB, go ahead. You got the floor. You got the mic. Thank you for your patience. I'm about to go get some more coffee because I need some more coffee. But all right, go. Yeah, I got it. You got the mic, JB. Go ahead.
All right. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, bro.
Yeah, you good.
So so I just want to say a few things. So I'm gonna be pretty quick with it. So first of all, I want to put all my cards on the table, right? So I'm not ADOS, right? I'm not a ADOS or foundational Black American. I'm originally from Haiti, right? So I'm Haitian American, and so I want to put that on the table because I think this is a very sensitive topic. I try to stay away from these topics, but I do have some points about this, right? So when it comes to slavery, obviously,
my brother.
Hey, so like when it comes to slavery, like obviously being Haitian, I think I can relate to that, right? Like, so I get why this is a triggering topic for Black folks, right? But I think the issue here, like the brother information man, right? Like you bring up the fact that it was Ricky that started this, right? But I think there's a key point here that was missed. It's not about the history. Like the history, you guys are correct about the history. I think the point y'all missed is that Ricky pretty much accomplished exactly what he came here to accomplish, right? Because he actually admitted, right? If you were early on in the stream, because even when I saw a Black man in front of a rebel flag, I'm like, well, this is interesting. And in fact, he started talking. I kind of expected a certain set of talking points from him. And I was actually in the background coding. And then when he said I remember when he said overstand, I had to switch the screen real quick to like, is this the same guy? Because I'm like, what the, I'm not used to a guy with a rebel flag talking about, using the word overstand and stuff like that, right? So clearly, he came to accomplish a goal, and he clearly admitted that, he uses the flag as a way to essentially start a conversation or whatnot, and I mean to a point, essentially trigger people, and he accomplished exactly that because you guys are getting so deep into the history and whatnot, and you guys are correct about it. I don't think his point was actually to debate the history. I think. Bernard actually started by asking about it and kind of trying to let him talk. But once I noticed Bernard kind of backed down once he admitted that, because I think at that point we understood what he was doing, right? And you guys kept going down that route. And I think that's the key point here is that
because he was giving false information about the history of that flag. That's what I came up with. I came up on here to debate the history that he was saying, which was
if you come in a group of Jewish people and you throw up a swastika, do you think that would be triggering?
Hold up. So I was actually getting to that point. So yes, but again, you guys are correct about the history, right? So I think once he admitted that, I wish it didn't go down this route, because once he admitted that, it should have been clear that it's an intentional act to trigger Black people, and it's accomplished exactly that. Because since he left, we're still discussing that. I actually disagree with that part.
Hold up, Pablo. How come some of us aren't triggered, Pablo?
So hold up.
It should be triggering.
It should be. Let me finish making the point. Right? Because somebody just mentioned Jewish, and I think that's a perfect example. We can also actually take Asians, right? Because he mentioned Asians, right? So when you talk about Jewish people, right? The difference between them is that sure, they don't just get rid of their history, and they don't just forget the Holocaust, right? But the difference is they've worked to acquire power, right? For them it's power. They use their power, right, to get what they want. The same as the Asian American community, whether you like it or not, And I remember actually I mentioned this on an earlier panel, way before this, Asian American situation.
Which Asians, JB?
I'm just saying, like, general Asian American community.
There's no general Asian community, bro.
So,
which Asians?
I think you get what I mean. I'm not.
No, bro. I'm being specific,
wait
bro.
a minute. Can I say something? Can I say something? I totally disagree with the idea that other groups of people are just non-emotional when you
That's
throw
not the
up
point I'm making.
a symbol of racial oppression against them. They don't do anything because they just have power. They just exercise their power, and they never say
anything. You're not
anything.
letting me make my point.
That's a
I'm
bunch
not
of
saying
crap.
that.
No,
you're not letting me make my point.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. There is no point. It should be triggering to you and everybody else on this panel that's Black.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Why?
You don't get to tell me
why should it be triggering,
Here,
Pablo?
let me finish.
Yeah.
I will tell you why.
So you know better than everybody. You can't even let me finish the conversation and finish. That's not
Let
a
me
conversation.
tell you
But I don't
why.
need you to
He
tell
asked
me. Let me
why.
finish making my point.
Go ahead.
Let me finish making my point. So my point is that because what I was about to bring up is months ago on another panel, I actually brought this up way before the Asian American situation in America, right? Like months ago, I mentioned that I had a conversation one time with an Asian dude in the tech industry, and one of the things he was bringing up, we were talking about like the black police brutality and all the protests and stuff like that. And one of the things he brought up was that one of the things that the Asian American community has on lock is the fact that they kind of act in a united way. Right. So typically, like no one ever really thinks about like who do Asian Americans vote for, right? What party do they align with the most? Like most people know Black people, we side with Democrats or whatever, right? But you don't really think about that because they work in unison.
Hey,
so
JB, real quick, bro. When you say Asians, man, you're lumping them all in together like everybody lumps Black people in together.
Listen, I understand.
Check it out, bro. Like here's let me tell you something real quick, bro.
No. Listen, I don't want to get into this irrelevant semantics. I understand
bro,
Asia.
That is relevant,
listen,
bro.
No. Hold up.
It's just like, bro, I'm Jamaican and you're Haitian, bro.
Sure,
we ain't the same.
I understand the semantics of what you're bringing up, but to the general American public, it's irrelevant. I'm making a general point. It's irrelevant. Like I'm not trying to make an academic point here. I'm making a general point, right? The general point I'm making is that they work to acquire power, right? We stick on history to be right about it, and that's why when I said Oppression Olympics, I understand his perspective, and I think he's actually correct. Not that that's your intention, but that's what it ends up being. Right, because it's like looking in it from externally, right? As somebody who's non-ADOS, I'm looking as a Haitian person who can actually trace back my own slave ancestors, right? And I understand the emotional aspect of slavery. I understand why it can be triggering, but I don't spend my time. I have in the past, right? Because I used to be a social justice warrior. I used to be not even just a liberal. I used to be a socialist, right? So I understand where it comes from, but it's highly emotional. Like, imagine this brother came on with a rebel flag and he made his point. And yes, the history, what he was trying to say from a historical perspective is silly, right? But his intention was to essentially spark a conversation and to essentially, to an extent, trigger. And he did exactly that. Right, like I don't think he actually, whether or not he knows the history, once he admitted that it was basically effectively a troll, like it should have not gone to that point. But it's like everybody's so triggered, right?
Hey, JB, let me help you out
with trigger. Now I'm gonna tell you why you ought to be.
You just said you were triggered yourself with your own words.
Yes,
JB,
and I'm gonna give you an example of how triggering is not always
a bad thing. Triggered, bro.
JB,
there's no need for it.
I want to ask JB a question. Only time I used the word trigger is when Brother Trey came on and made the statements about some of us Negroes may not even know our history or what have you. That's what triggered me. See, this is the thing. You just came on here as a non-ADOS person trying to tell.
Boom, there it is, the non-ADOS card. There it is.
No, I'm going to use it, and I'm going to use it, and I'm using it respectfully. You came on here and you did. See, if you Trey.
I'm not ADOS all the way, bro.
I'm not even talking to you. I'm not even talking to you. What I was going to say to Brother JB is that he came on here as a non-ADOS person. He omitted, so you didn't let me finish. Listening is an art, fool.
Well, come on.
He
why
came on here
because
you were disrespectful.
I want to hear your point. I want to hear your point. I want to hear your point.
What I'm saying to JB is that he came on here and he admitted that he's not ADOS, that he has Haitian ancestry, and guess what? I, as a ADOS person or a black man in America, would never get involved in the conversations that have to do with Haitian people have gone through and what they need for their people. I wouldn't get in and tell Haitian people, the problem with you all is that you guys are just too emotional. I would never do that. And then he sat up here and repeated the same bullshit that I had already said already. And the fact is that other groups are on a code. Other groups have generational wealth. Other groups are able to still make it while at the same time recognizing their history. And I said to Bernard earlier, the problem with black people is that, of course, we're emotional. That makes us a little bit different.
We're not emotional. Y'all niggas is emotional.
Can I finish my point? Can I finish my point?
Go ahead.
Can I finish my point? Why the fool who uses a dog symbol, which is low to the goddamn ground,
is you want me to cam up, bro?
Yeah. Well, you didn't cam up.
Hey, can we stop with the ad hominem?
Let me just finish this.
That's an ADOS thing, JB.
This is not a disrespect to JB. or the whole ADOS thing, because I was acknowledging the fact that the brother said that he realizes that he's not ADOS, but he gave his opinion. But a lot of the opinions he talked about being on code and black people moving forward past the racial issues, I already talked about that. He's late to the goddamn party with those statements. And two, I said that we have black men on this panel who are getting out here and doing what we got to do. This not all black people are using slavery is a crutch to not be successful in life. But there are black people who recognize our history. They still move forward and they recognize knowing history.
So why are you crying about it?
Well, this is the thing. Like I said earlier, this was never a crying session.
But
this
you are,
was
though.
No, I'm not crying.
Let him just
This
let him,
was
let him
a,
get it out.
you know,
he asked me a question, Bernard. I'm asking him a question.
He trying to. I wasn't even talking to you, Trey. I'm talking to the issue
bro.
of JB.
You're whining about history, bro. It's
No,
over
no,
with
no.
and it's done
No,
with.
no, no.
Guess what? Some
No,
of
no,
us,
no,
some of us
no,
are
no,
complainers.
no,
Some of
no,
us
no,
don't
no.
care about
No,
history.
no,
Some
no,
of us
nigga,
don't
no,
care about
no,
the-
nigga,
Let me
nobody is
speak, bro.
whining.
Let me
No,
speak.
No,
he
he
cut
got
me
your
off
point.
when I was getting ready to finish. He cut me off.
I want you to finish. I want him to finish his point.
Yeah,
Then
let
we
me
can
finish.
Think about these lefties, Bernard. They
No,
never
I
shut
get it.
up.
They
They
go
go
on
on and on.
Trey, I get it, but let
me
him
answer
finish,
this.
then we gonna pass the mic.
Let me answer this because this is a fool you got on the panel.
All
First
right,
of all,
cool.
I'm not a
There we go.
lefty.
There we go.
I'm not a left, and I'm not a right. I don't like the Republican Party, and I don't like the
I didn't say
goddamn
anything about
Democratic
parties,
Party.
bro. Your
But
ideology is
you
left
Trey,
just
dominant.
said lefty.
God damn, just let the man just finish his
I'm
point, then we
trying
gonna
to.
pass it.
Okay. The bottom line is this. Let me get to the point. The bottom line is this. Nobody on here, and even Bernard admitted to this. We didn't come on here to have a session to say, oh, because of slavery, we can't make it in society. Nobody on this panel said that we can't make it we haven't been able to make it in society because of slavery. You brought somebody on here who had a battle flag or whatever flag he had. We critiqued it. When I came up here, I stayed in history. I used history as my argument, and my argument was that I don't like the British flag, Confederate flag, or the American flag because they all have a link to the oppression.
You a communist,
And then
nigga.
I said over and over again that despite the history, it doesn't mean that black people can't try to get over these hurdles. And then I said that we have to be better on code to work together. And then I mentioned that other groups, they never deny their history, why they move upward and onward towards the light. Okay.
So information man,
and so that's what I was saying.
Can I
That's all I
respond to
said.
information man?
So information man, how do you intend on? Okay, you say all those things, right? But
yes, sir.
Your very actions right now, right, are proving that you're not putting that into practice. Because here's what I'm saying,
Yes,
right?
I am. Yes, I am. I'll tell you how
information.
I am putting into practice. I'll tell you how. Go ahead.
How do you get on code if you can't even have a conversation with another black man? That's what I'm saying. Like you won't even let me get a point out. That's my point. Is that
I didn't cut you off. It was Trey that came in and started talking.
Every time,
actually, I was very respectful because I recognized what you said.
Information just about everybody here, including people that you even agree with. I've noticed the entire conversation. Every time people talk, you won't even allow them to talk. That's my point. Is you can't even have a conversation.
Well, wait a minute. I can't have. Wait a minute. Let me tell you something right now. Let me just break this down.
Man, you're doing exactly what he's saying, bro.
Let me tell you something right now.
Trying to make the point.
This is why you don't know what you're talking about.
How are you going to tell the kid that when you won't let him speak, bro?
Not only do I have this conversation, but I actually
You're
put all this stuff
yourself.
to principle because why? I do shit off of YouTube. I'm not your regular YouTuber, nigga.
YouTube. I'm trying to.
Let me tell you something.
Information man.
Wait a minute. You called me out, Negro, and I'm gonna call you out. I'm calling you out.
Now you call me Negro, right? Now you call me Negro.
Everything that you said, you said up and said, you sit up here and said that I can't have the conversation. Brother, I have the conversation with hundreds of brothers that I'm tight with outside of YouTube. Matter of fact, wait a minute. Matter of fact,
why are you raising your voice and not letting the brother talk?
Matter of fact, I take my words and I put it into action.
Cool, but what about right now?
Out in the community.
What about right now? Cool.
Out in the community.
All right, now we all. All right.
This conversation was never. This conversation was never about we as black people can't do anything because of slavery. That's not what the original conversation is. You jokers came on and you changed the narrative when nobody was talking like that.
All right.
Nobody was.
All right. Apparently,
will
there was some point JB was trying to make that he never made.
You got this young dude. Wait a minute. You got JB up here telling me I can't have a conversation, and I deal with real black men in real organizations that's helping my community in real life. Wait, let me ask him a question. JB, let me ask you a question.
I'm not going to answer any questions.
No, answer. What are you, JB? What are you doing in the community?
Look, man,
are you a member of an organization?
Hold up. Okay, cool.
Yo.
No, I want to know this. He got to answer the question.
Okay, cool.
He called me out. JB, what are you?
All right, cool. Let me answer.
Are you dialoguing with hundreds of men out in the community? What are you doing? What are you doing?
All right, I dropped both of them down. Info man still talking while you in the back chat. He's still down there talking. He's still going off. You off?
Fuck y'all. Niggas don't do shit.
I actually have a question.
No, Bernard, you got this young punk on here.
Bernard, let me answer this question. Bernard, let me answer this question.
Okay.
Bernard, the young punk is trying to say, I want to hear the question. If the young punk, as you called him, had a question or a point, I just want to hear whatever it was.
I want to know
finished.
What is JB doing?
But if he didn't finish, I want him to
YouTube.
Finish.
What you doing besides YouTube?
No. We're not doing that. Info. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. I want to hear.
He called me out. I'm calling him out. What is he doing off of YouTube? What are you doing off of YouTube?
Okay, let me answer the question.
That's helping the black community. That's helping black men. That's getting black men into jobs. Go ahead.
Information, man. Just let him talk.
Let me answer the question.
Go ahead.
Okay, so what am I doing for black people? Bet I can start listing. I invest in black companies. I can name one right now. Identity. It's founded by a black man called Jeremy. I invest in black. I actually literally invest my own personal money as an angel investor in black people. All right. Okay. I pay trade schools for black men.
Okay.
In Georgia. Okay. Like, all right. So I spend my actual money. I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars. I spend regularly on black people.
All right.
All right. Hold up. I give you all the respect for that, but don't make my point. Let me make my point.
Now, JB had a question. He mentioned Jeremy jump over your hurdle. He told you what he do in the community. All right.
The reason why I give him nothing but respect. I give you nothing but respect. I give you nothing but respect for what you're doing. But don't come to me and tell me what I'm not doing. Because you're
information man. I'm sorry, I can't. Come on.
Hallelujah.
At this point, info man, it's getting disrespectful.
Finally, you figured it out.
Info man, you just talking over me when I'm trying to get control of the panel.
That's so this is basically what I was saying.
All right, now you know, stop. You're not about to respond, and thank you for giving me some host respect. But don't respond to the chaos that just happened. I want you to go back to whatever point you was trying to make that you didn't get to make. I want you to start there. I'm gonna bring you back up in a second, info man.
So what I was about to say actually aligns with the initial point. The initial point I was going to make is that I think it's a disadvantage when ADOS folks say, well, who are you to come and butt into our issues? First of all, like I said, I put my cards on the table because I understand this is sensitive for ADOS folks, right? Like I'm not trying to offend other black people, right? But I think it's a disadvantage because, and then somebody even mentioned, if you went on a Haitian panel, I would say the same thing. If some Haitians are acting emotional over over a black man in America talking about issues affecting Haitians, I'll be like, why are you getting emotional about it? Like I don't see the difference personally, because at the end of the day, being a black man in America, like if I get stopped by the police, the cop doesn't ask me, "Are you Haitian?" Like they just see a black man, right? So I have pretty much the same experience. I was socialized like a black American in America. I didn't get any different treatment from
somebody got
the average
background.
black man in America, right?
Hey, somebody, I think that's Psycho. They got do something. You got to turn the gain down or something on the mic. I don't know what that is.
So when I'm commenting on this, I'm talking about this because I want to see black people succeed, right? I want to see more black people succeed. So on my end, for example, I mentioned the things I'm doing them because I want to not just talk, right? So I'm actually investing my own hard-earned money, right? Tens of thousands of dollars. I'm doing this regularly, okay? In black small businesses, all right? In black small businesses and black men. I got black men in Georgia right now who could tell you they're electricians because of me, right? Like, but I don't go online and talk about that. I don't have a YouTube channel, right? But I'm doing it because I want to see black people better themselves, right? And so the idea that just because you're not ADOS, you can't talk about it. I'm a black man in America. You can't take that from me. Like it's like, and I'm not. It's not even something that I'm like, oh, because I'm black. It's the fact that at the end of the day, we experience certain things, sure, in America, and there's a history behind it that's specific to ADOS. I get that, right? But how do we move forward? And if every little thing can trigger you, right? If you can't even have a conversation, if you can't even be critiqued. For example, I really respected the fact when somebody on the show told Bernard, he only listens to conservative, and Bernard just took that. He didn't get triggered by it. I respect that, because that show, on his own show, somebody called him out and said something, whether or not I agree with it or Bernard agrees with it, he was able to take that and not get all overly emotional. That's how you move forward, is you take what you can take, and if you don't agree with it, that's fine. We don't have to all agree. But this idea that only I can do this, only I can do this, that I think that's silly. How do we move forward?
Hey, JB, let me get it real quick, and I'm gonna dip out. Can I respond real quick? I want to respond to Pablo and Info Man real quick, then I'm out. Just to certain points. Pablo said, that I know Pablo's gone. No slick this and that, Pablo. But Pablo brought up the fact that we should be triggered. And my question to that is why? Not all of us are triggered. No, I don't give a damn about a rag, about a flag that was used by half the damn country. Who cares? It's 2021. Like, nothing triggers me about the past. It is what it is. I love who I am. I love the fact that I'm American. You know what I'm saying? My family served this country for almost a damn century and a couple damn wars for 4 generations. So it is what it is. Now, onto what Info Man said about not, I don't like this flag, I don't like this flag, and then I don't like the American flag. Here's the thing. If you don't like the American flag, why are you here? If you don't like the American flag, why are you sending kids to institutions which rep the American flag? It's either this. Either you want to be American or you want to be something else. And if it's like that, and you're so bent on our past is so deep rooted in a Confederate flag and in an institution of slavery, why not leave and go back to like Ghana, Liberia, Nigeria, somewhere else other than here?
Why should he?
All right. Hey, Bernard, let's go. We're gonna pass it. I'm gonna pass it to Fantastic. Well, Psycho, you was trying to jump in for a minute, so I'm gonna let you whatever you wanted to respond to, go ahead and respond to me. We'll go to Fantastic, then we're gonna go to Snake Man and AC. Something be wrong with your connection. I don't be deliberately leaving you in the chat, or sometimes I do deliberately leave you in the back because you be wilding. But sometimes your connection kind of odd because I think you at work or something going on. But go ahead,
Bernard, Bernard, this is Fatal Dose. I want to respond to the whole non-ADOS thing that Information Man said.
Let me. You got how long you gonna be?
It's gonna be quick, man.
Everybody misunderstood.
No, come on, man. Don't do that to me again.
I'm not screaming. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful.
We're trying to go in order. We're trying to go in order.
All right, make sure you come to me before over.
Info Man, you are now me. Info Man,
I didn't say. Yes, I'm not anybody. I'm myself. No, hey, Bernard, make sure you come to me so I can give my critique because people are saying things that I didn't actually say it like that. Okay, misinterpretation.
All right, Fatal Dose, real quick. You got like 25 seconds, and I'm going Psycho. We going in order. Fatal Dose, Psycho, Fantastic, and then I think Snake Man. All right.
So like it's something I encounter a lot, right? The minute I get on a panel, everybody's like, "Yo, he's got an accent," or "He's this, he's that," right? But I've been alive probably and living in America longer than most of y'all been alive, right? I'm about to turn 47. I came in here as a kid.
Shut up! I'm 51 years old. I'm older than you, so shut your ass up.
Who's talking about you?
Talking about you probably been alive than most of us.
I'm older than you. Take off that tampon.
I'm older than you.
Take off that tampon.
I'm just saying before you start talking about who you older than.
Calm down.
I'm done, bro. I'm done.
Go.
You don't make most, bro. Calm down your pizza slice hairline, my nigga. So calm down.
Hey, Fantastic and Fan Shitty. You can kiss my ass. I have no respect for you anyway, nigga.
Don't respond.
You got respect for me, little fella. Let's not do this. You know you're gonna lose.
Mr. Fantastic, just don't respond, please.
You know you're gonna lose, nigga.
Fantastic. You one of the biggest things on you,
nigga.
You take another one too, motherfucker. You ain't doing shit. You ain't doing shit. You one of the biggest tips. You live on YouTube, nigga.
You gonna lose. Let it down. Let it down.
Nah, nigga, you calm
down. Let it down, my nigga. You been doing. You come to YouTube, claim and talk about what you don't do on YouTube.
Shut up, Fantastic. You ain't shit. I can't understand anything you saying because you joking.
All right. We getting in order. All right, go ahead, Psycho. Go ahead, Psycho.
Don't even talk to me, Fantasia.
We getting back in order.
Yeah.
We getting back in order.
Don't say shit to me.
You got next, Fantastic. We're going Psycho, Fantastic. Go.
I just want to put on the record.
Ass nigga.
I know I was accused of being an emotional person before when I was out in the chat. I conducted myself a certain type of way since I've been on here, and ever since.
Yes,
and this ain't my first time being on your panel, Bernard, and you have never heard me act any type of way up on here. I wait my turn to speak and everything. So I just want to clear my name because that clown that you had up on here, now I'm going to talk shit because he was talking shit. That clown that was up on here, that bitch ass, coon ass, piece of shit motherfucker who wanted to sit up here and lie and say that I came on the panel and was being all emotional because his flag is bullshit. I came on his panel to do exactly what I came up on here to do today, which is correct that lost cause misinformation that he keeps regurgitating. And I wanted to push back on it. And when I came up there to attempt to do that, all those little white people that he was caping for and those trolls started motherfucking yelling and screaming and hooting and hollering over me. And then I got into it with them. I didn't even get into it with that clown. So let me just put that out there. He's a liar. He's running from this information because he know our shit on all that lost cause bullshit propaganda that he was spewing. And for the people out there where Trey train up here, I put the link in the private chat of me debunking that whole claim about the Irish being slaves. That's another false white supremacist narrative that I smack around on a regular basis. And if you got any problems with anything I said in that stream, let me know. We can have a debate about it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get off this panel and let y'all finish, have y'all conversation. Y'all have a good day.
All right, thanks, Psycho. And you are right. You always conduct yourself well, even though you be disagreeing with a lot of stuff to go on here. You ain't never came on my panel wilding. So shout out to you.
Doubt.
Appreciate it.
All right, appreciate it.
All right, go ahead, Fantastic. You got it.
Yeah, man. Hey, shout out to Papa John's, Pizza Hut, and Domino's. Listen, man. I don't know why we still having this conversation about, look, bro. You had the real live Clayton Bigsby up here today. Cool. All right, cool. But bro, niggas gotta get away from this emotional attachment to something that you can't change, fam. All right. Us talking about racism, us talking about Confederate flags, how does that, and again, I know we have discussions here, but I'm not talking about the actual discussion. I'm talking about the feelings and the things behind it. Bruh, what is a Confederate flag keeping any black man from doing in 2021? Not a damn thing. Nothing. Okay? If we put as much energy into being focused on black men gaining power versus the emotion we're wasting on some shit that's the past or whatever, bro, people gonna have their ideologies and gonna feel the way they feel. But if we are black men, talk about how far we're behind, and especially you white supremacy believers, right? You people that believe in white supremacy and oppression. Well, the best thing for white supremacy and oppression is for you to be concerned about a piece of goddamn cloth that lost how many fucking hundreds of years ago? That's what I'm saying, bro. Again, and to the brother that want to rep the flag, again, I don't agree with that either. Because again, who cares around a loser's flag, bro? Because the Confederate flag is a flag of losers, motherfuckers that tried some shit and it didn't work. And it should actually be fucking treason because again, it went against the fucking the foundation of America as a fucking nation. But that's neither here nor there, man. Listen, just at the end of the day, man, bro, we got to stop being so easily emotionally triggered over some shit that don't matter. If you can tell me how, where, and why the Confederate flag falls on the list of problems in the black community with the black man, bro, I'll listen to you, fam. But I promise you, the Confederate flag is not even a top 100 issue for black people or the black man. You got it, Bernard.
Thank you. Very well said. Very well said. You spoke to exactly why I don't even mind having the brother come on and just have a conversation with him, because I'm not threatened or hurt or harmed. Nobody is injured by him having the flag behind him. I do want to know why. He gave his reasons why, but like I think it was JB that said once he admitted that it is a slight subtle troll, I understood everything I needed to understand. And a lot of the points that he made when we're talking about Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and all of that other stuff that we're talking about, I think most of us can generally agree with them on that. But the flag is kind of a troll. Once that's done, then it's not that much to talk about. And then shout out to information man, I give him credit for this. And Psychopatheist, there were some things that he said that probably, I mean, I'm no expert, but based off what they said, he said some things that weren't quite historically accurate. So they did want to correct the historical record. And I think a good conversation could be had out of that. But you know how niggas go nigga and get emotional, and then, like I said, when we start talking about slavery, we're not even doing it from an academic standpoint. We start talking about racism in the South and Jim Crow and all that. We're not doing it from an academic standpoint. We're doing it like it's literally still a whip coming at us. So that's where I draw the line with that. But I do like to have a good historical conversation. So I had no problem. Go ahead, whoever that was. And
that was me. That was Jonathan. That was JB. So,
Snake Man haven't said nothing, so go ahead. And we about to wrap this up soon, even though we just got a little Big Nate and J Speed on here. So
it's a little bit Nate. Now, the only thing, actually, my question was basically a little discussion point I want to go is for information, man. Information, man. I understand when you get triggered when people come on and show symbols of the past that basically harmed your people. I get it. I'm not ADOS. You can hear it on my accent. And I just want to debunk one myth that always comes up. Also, groups of people get triggered when they see symbols or something else of the past when they were not treated good, or something bad happens. But the difference is they do not argue about it with the person that does it. They punish him. They do punishment. You can give a thousand examples. I'm from Africa. When someone waves a flag of the enemy or spouse bullshit about the ideology or the belief of the enemy, we don't discuss with him. But what is there to discuss? You already make your point. Good. You're what part of the enemy, quote unquote enemy. Good. Go out or we punish you. And that is the other point. That is all I always see on this panel. There is no cohesion. There is no code. There's nothing. There's only chaos and babble and also shit. It's like you always say you're a group, but you don't act like a group. That is basically what I wanted to say to information man, that he was right about this point, that the black community don't act like a group. I'm sorry, you don't. You don't. Because if you would act like a group, you would actually punish traitors. But you cannot do that. So yeah.
Was that last thing you just said? Was that last thing you just said?
You would actually punish traitors or the treasonous people in some way or form.
If we act like a group, we would punish traitors. I don't know. Okay.
Can I make my quick?
What do you mean you don't know?
No. I don't know what you mean by punishing traitors. Who would you define as a traitor, and how should they be punished? Are you talking about punished by law, or we take them around back?
That is a problem. You do not even know what the enemy is.
But now, can I just speak, because I'm going to get off, and I can speak to what he's saying. In other words, when we have people in our community that sell us out and do things that harm us, they are able to do it and get away with it because they do not fear a punishment or a code to be held accountable. I grew up. I lived
like the drug dealer.
I lived in
like the drug dealer,
or anybody for example that sells us out. I lived in the Bay Area for many years.
I agree.
And what I used to notice about either Chinese, Japanese, or other ethnic groups, when they grew up, because I lived in an international city, they knew that there was a disrespect that they could bring to their family and their culture if they did certain things, because there was a code and a punishment of how they would be treated in the community as a pariah if they went out and sold their people out. Within the black community, black people do these.
There's no such thing.
There is no such thing. There used to be a long time ago. I grew up in one, but within Black America,
we uplift, march, and light candles for some of the worst people.
Yeah, we do, and we do within the black and within some black communities.
And by the way,
there's not a fear for doing something that maybe hurts the culture, hurts the group think, whatever you want to call it. Now, I want to say this to JB, because I don't want to get off to the wrong foot. When I made the statement about ADOS, I actually said, because nobody was listening, that I recognize that the brother is recognizing that he's not ADOS, but he still sees a problem, which is the code that I'm talking about. And I agree with him. I also said that I had mentioned that already. I'm not saying because he's not ADOS that he doesn't get treated as a black man, because that's what they're going to see. They're not going to see his accent, colors, whatever his cultural things that he lends himself to. Okay, now let me say this. When we got on, people are thinking that, oh, I'm triggered by the Confederate. No, you brought a guest on here. I came on here and gave history, and I stood in history. So I'm not triggered like, oh my God, I can't live my life. This whole conversation today had nothing to do with black people saying because of racism, we can't make it. It was simply critiquing the history of the flag. And the reason why I talked about the American flag and the British flag, because even your guest, Bernard, said that the history comes from Great Britain with the blue, white, and red, which were bleeding into the American flag, which were also bled into the Confederate flag. The reason why I don't like it, because those symbolisms are very more powerful psychologically and self-consciously than you think. I work in psychology. I know this to be a fact. Symbolisms are strong. That's why they put the monuments up when we were coming out of the getting some rights, a little rights in this country. Symbolisms are powerful. I said that the symbolism of those flags do have their roots in some of our oppression, whether it be the Confederate flag, the American flag, in which black men went to war and were treated poorly under that flag. And the British flag is the grandfather of ushering in the ideology. Now, does cloth gonna call me back? No, it's cloth, it's material. But I'm not, this is where people are losing it. I'm not talking about the material, it's the symbolism. Now, does that stop me from being a successful person? No. I told you all what I do. It's not stopping me, and there's many other black people that are moving forward. The young man said to me that because I got a little triggered on this panel or got into it with people, that I can't have the conversation with black men, or I can't have the conversation on here. And it makes me, let me finish, please. And it makes me laugh. It really makes me laugh because of the fact that I deal with more black men outside of YouTube over my 51 years than that's on this goddamn panel or on YouTube, period. I have conversations with black men who are movers and shakers, scientists, doctors, lawyers, black men who have moved forward despite racism or Confederate flags or whatever you want to call it. I deal with this type of ilk, been around this type of ilk. So when a young brother says, I'm not making any conversation, no, I am, because just like he's doing things in the community to help people, I have helped people. I continue to help people. I'm helping brothers to get out of prison. I've helped thousands of kids that I've worked with since I was 21 who have gone on to skilled trades and business and having families. And I have a connection to these youth because of my organization. So I have bigger conversations that actually are about action and less talk than what's happening here than I do on YouTube. So what we're having here is talk, but it ain't going to be no. Can I finish?
All right,
so
cool.
My point being is that I can have a conversation with brothers on YouTube about these issues, but I can take it up a notch with other brothers off of YouTube who can say, okay, this is the issue. This is what we're going to do going forward. There's got to be actions behind your words. I get into more action off of YouTube behind my words than what's happening on YouTube within words. This isn't about disrespecting anybody on the panel.
We got you. All right. Implement.
Let me just say this. Let me just say this to Mr. Fantasia. Mr. Fantastic. This isn't about me trying to be disrespectful to any of you brothers on here, even you, Mr. Fantastic, or anything. I simply said that you came on the panel like many other people late in the game. The conversation that we've been having now was stored by other people who came on and they changed the narrative of our conversation. We weren't having this conversation like this when we begin this panel. It's other people who brought their shit into the panel.
That's true, and I already conceded that point. It was a legitimate discussion about history that wasn't baked in the cake of the whole "woe is me" oppression Olympics. We were just legitimately talking about history.
Then why is that the narrative now?
Because it got flipped into that, but we brought it back, and that's cool. But
can I make that quick point and then I'll hop off?
You gotta pump the brakes.
Can I make that quick point and then I'll hop off?
No, hold on, pump the brakes up there, because when Snake Man was talking about, he basically was talking about what she got up there on the screen, where she says it is true though that we don't have a system of shame and punishment. A very important point that need to come out of these conversations is that the people like myself, I would say probably like Lil Big Nate, like Mr. Fantastic, when we do try to shame bad actions and behaviors, we are likely to be called the coons. So when you start talking about that, there's no system of shame and punishment or no code. When black people do try to establish one, they get called coons and going against the black race because they're going against the shit that's bad about the black race. That's a very important point that's worth being made before we move on. I'm gonna pass it to Lil Big Nate. Go ahead, you got the floor, you got the mic. Well, Lil Big Nate, J Speed, and Fantastic.
I appreciate it, man. I just came up to tell a real quick story. I told a story a few weeks ago on my channel. I used to be an assistant manager at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, early 2000s, right? And the managers would actually have to wash the cars, just like everybody else. I'm out there in a shirt and tie, washing cars, getting my tie sucked up into a vacuum, right? So we hired this new, younger black gentleman fresh out of college, and I'm outside with him preparing a car for a customer, washing the car down and shit. And there was a guy. This is downtown Augusta, Walton Way, and there was a old white guy who used to drive around downtown Augusta in an 80s cargo van covered with the Confederate flag, and he also had a couple of pictures of George Bush. This was around 2001, September 11th and everything. So I'm out there washing the car, and I hear the black guy that was with me washing it starting to curse. So I lift my head, and he's at the stoplight is that cargo van. And this guy's just sent into a tirade. Man, would you look at this? Look at this fucking shit. And I was like, dude, what is your problem? Man, look at that van, man. He's just covered in the Confederate flag, man. I can't believe it. I was like, dude, why are you upset about this? Man, it's just racist. I'm like, bruh, it's his fucking van. Why does this bother you? Nigga completely losing his shit because some old white guy is driving around downtown Augusta in a cargo van with the Confederate flag on it. I said, if this motherfucker was to roll up on my front lawn, he'd have a serious problem. But as long as he's going on about his business, I don't give a fuck what his van is covered in. Now help me finish washing this goddamn car so we can get it to this customer. And this nigga's just in his feelings. Look, Jesus Christ, man. It has nothing to do with us. If this guy wants to troll using the flag, it's his fucking business. It has no effect on you, is my point. Just let it go. Let the shit go. We got bigger fucking fish to fry. That's all I wanted to say, man. I appreciate it, bro.
Thank you, little bit.
I gotta hit the road again, man. My bad. Y'all take it easy, man.
All right, peace, little bit.
Hey Bernard. My point was actually relevant to what he just said. Can I just add it and I'll hop off?
Really quick. You got 20 seconds.
Right, so actually to what Lil Big Nate just said, right? So I actually just wanted to make this point about how it's not the fact that we can't tell the history, it's how sometimes it will hold us back, right? So I just had a quick example for you, right? So as you may already know, Bernard, I'm a software engineer, right? And I had a coworker once black woman, okay, software engineer, and she was on the team, and so we have all this, all of these microservices, that's what we call them. And some of the microservices, in software language, we use the term master and slave, right? So we use the term master and slave, a master node and a slave node, right? So the master node is kind of like, you can think of it like all the requests, for example, if you're thinking about a server, the requests are sent to the master node, and then it passes it on to the slave nodes to handle whatever the request needs to happen, right? She made a whole stink about the fact that they named our services master and slave. And it's just like, this is a standard in the tech industry. Now you may say, okay, well, in terms of the history of that, why would you name it that? That's a different conversation. But she made a whole stink about it. And she was upset and, kind of upset at me because I wasn't joining in. I'm like, why is this even, like, why are you spending your time on this, right? Because now the same person, when people don't want to work with you, right? When people think, oh, she makes us feel like we got to, walk on a minefield, etc. Like, people don't want to work with you anymore. When people don't want to work with you, they don't want to hire you, then you're going to say it's white supremacy, right? Whereas for me, it's not bothering my day. Me seeing a server named a master or slave does not keep me from writing software. It does not keep me from being productive, right? And so why not focus on being productive, making that bread so that I can come back to my community and actually invest it in black men, right? In helping black men better themselves, instead of making a stink and talking about how I'm going to fight this and, we need to report this. I'm not reporting shit, right? And I think that's I just want to make that point in terms of like, I get about the history. I'm not against people understanding the history. In fact, I think people should study your history and understand it. It's just people get so attached to this shit that it's like you making us think about it in the workplace. And it's not even that the company itself chose that name. It's an industry standard to name things master and slave. You can talk about why it's named that and why the industry decided that. That's a different conversation. Well, you just made us think about it, and you made your coworkers just feel like, man. And then on top of that, you make it worse for all black people, right? Because now a lot of white colleagues, right? They'll feel like when I work with black people, they're just too sensitive, etc. I'm not trying to say you should work to please a white man or be accepted. That's not my point. My point is, the more you show that you're easily triggered, the more fragile you're deemed by everyone, and everybody feels they need to coddle you, etc.
Bullshit.
So I just wanted to make that.
Oh no.
Bullshit.
I must disagree.
We won't pass it to Jay. Yeah, go ahead, Jay. You got it.
Good morning to you, all the panelists and the chat room. I'm gonna aim my stuff at my friend, Mr. Information Man. The reason why we don't have standards and the reason why we don't have a system of punishing people, because some of the same black people get on these YouTube streets, and especially what I call the black YouTube street, and regurgitate the same thing as the Klan. So when you out here calling black women hyenas, gorillas, when the Webster Dictionary used to use that as the definition for a gorilla was a black woman, you are your worstest enemy. And this is why we don't have a code.
By the way, I think it's different to call a black woman.
I understand.
Hold on, real quick. Hold on, real quick. Let me make this point. I ain't with the calling with the gorilla thing. I ain't with that. But calling some of them hyenas based off behaviors, when you look at how hyenas actually conduct themselves, I don't think nothing is wrong with that if you're talking about specific behaviors. But if you're just saying you're a black woman, therefore I'm going to call you some animal just because, and that's a different thing.
I totally disagree with you on that, because the association came from the gorilla of
I ain't with the gorilla.
Okay, now listen what I'm just saying. The association came from behavior and what they thought our behavior was, because when you really look at it, we are the less harassed people on this planet.
Hold on, so wait, somebody asked a real good question. Who's calling black women gorillas, by the way?
I'm saying at one time in this country, the definition of a gorilla.
Hold on. You said black people get on the panels and call black women gorillas.
I said hyenas. I didn't say gorilla.
I know, but you said hyenas and gorillas. So who's
no?
doing
I
gorillas?
was talking. Well, one was speaking of the Webster Dictionary, and the second was speaking of black men getting on YouTube street and calling women hyenas. Okay, so let's get it straight. Excuse me. And so when we get on these communication device, which some of us should never get in front of a microphone or video camera, because we don't have the professionalism as far as knowing what broadcast is all about. We think it's just getting on there and screaming and hollering. And when you are regurgitating the same thing that Klan did 20 and 30 years ago, and then you say it's not important to know your history, well, maybe that's why it's not important for you, because you don't want people to know where your mindset come from. And so, I'm the way I move around YouTube right now, I support your channel. I support a lot of people's channels I disagree with. That is not a problem for me, because I do believe a clock can be right twice in 24 hours, even a broken clock. So I do support stations and channels and content that I don't disagree with, because I think we shouldn't be sensitized, but we still should tell the truth too. We do more harm towards ourselves in our black YouTube streets than any white counterpart on YouTube. And so I think we have to be honest about that. Seriously, if we telling jokes or we having a comedy, or if it's just strictly for entertainment, then label it as that. Tell the truth about it. Just say this is entertainment, but don't get on here and act like you some scholar and you understanding what your power and what you are doing, and you are really pushing us back 25 years where we have to think about history. So I'm just going to leave that on the table.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Bernard.
For your words. No, Emancipated Negress been supporting the show big time. Shout out to you. She says, this sounds like a white person telling a black person on how they should feel. This is why we don't need non-ADOS people speaking for us. You can't tell me that I can't be triggered by certain words. Your pain ain't exactly the same as mine. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Thank you for your support. We about to pass the mic to that is fantastic down there. Can't see his icon, at least not on the StreamYards, and maybe I can see it on YouTube. But go ahead, Mr. Fantastic. You got the floor, you got the mic. Or not. Are you there? Fantastic. Say something.
We cannot hear you, Mr. Fantastic.
Try again. Okay, we heard that. Go ahead.
Hold on.
If he can't take it, I will.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
Go ahead. You got it.
You can hear me? Okay. Am I delayed? I might be delayed.
No, you sound like Doc Bader. You're bogging real bad.
All right, what was going on with him? I had to step away for a second. I had to mute up and step away. His sound wasn't coming through good.
Yeah, sound like Doc Bader.
He backed out. Okay, he back in the back chat, and his avatar is up. So let's see if he good. Go ahead. And all right, Fatal Dose, go ahead. While Fantastic try to get it figured out. Whatever was going on, Fatal Dose, you was trying to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I hear the brother's comment, and this goes back to the idea that the brother was bringing up, that we don't hold people accountable. If sisters misbehaving and getting in packs, beating people up, doing all of this craziness is akin to a hyena, and we call it what it is, then that's what it is. We can't start using colorful or pretty language to call shit a piece of shit. You know, we can't put lipstick on a pig and pretend it's pretty. So all of that bullshit they're doing, they're behaving like hyenas. They're behaving like wolves. Now you want them to be a queen? Then you want us to call them queens and goddesses? Well, tell them to start acting like queens and goddesses, and then we won't have to use terms like hyena to describe them. And I mean, this is the bullshit I talk about. We don't hold these people accountable for the fuck shit they do. Excuse my language, man.
No,
but that triggered me. That triggered me, and I'm conservative.
Okay, can I go next, Mr. Bernard?
Sure, but real quick, Jonathan Barronville in the building. He says, to Emancipated Negress, he says, I'm Haitian. My ancestors were slaves too. Why do you think you're so special? This is what we mean by oppression Olympics. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. And thank you, Jonathan Barronville. I think right when I was getting off the air, after I pushed the end stream button, you sent me like a super chat at the buzzer. I think that was you that sent the one right at the end of a previous stream. So thank you for that as well. Appreciate your support.
Yes, that was me. That was me.
That was JB, Jonathan Barronville. Okay.
Yeah, that's
I didn't make the connection with the J and the B, but I wasn't 100% sure. I'm sitting there. All right, cool. Got you. Thank you.
That's another thing I do, Bernard. I invest in black men on YouTube as well. Just for information, man.
Don't bring him. Don't poke the bear. He being cool.
Bernard.
See, you don't woke him up.
Information, man.
Brother Bernard, what I was gonna say before everybody keeps making comments as if I'm not on the goddamn panel. I give plenty of black men money that I support their channels on YouTube, and guess what? I also support youth in my organization so that they can move forward in having a better life. I support black men, and I do support black people. So that's not a question. I just wanted to say that Jay Speed my dear friend, he made very great, powerful points. And I think he's right. A lot of times we do get on these YouTube streets or these panels, and we speak as if we have the definitive book to history. And then what bothers me is that when you do actually bring up real history that can be researched, now you have people that are trying to give you pushback and say, oh, you're being sensitive to racism and all of that. No, I'm telling you the facts. And what he's saying is true, that we use a lot of talking points that are the talking points of those who were lynching us and killing us in these streets. And we use them as if it's something new, as if it's making some brand new statement. At the end of the day, we as Black people have to work together collectively, no matter where we are in the globe, if we're going to move forward, despite all the obstacles. Doesn't mean we wake up and we think about it every day, and we must prepare our kids. Like, I don't know how many of you, I know, Bernard, you're a father. I'm a father. See, it's funny how you have people talking to you. I'm a father. I'm already in the trenches of preparing my family for this world. So that's why I get an attitude sometimes when you have people who want to talk all these type of things and they ain't never been married. They ain't got no goddamn family. They may not. I'm just saying you may not. You may not have anyone you're responsible for in this world like a child other than yourself. So that's why I get, when someone talks to me like that, I'm not going to just sit back and let somebody talk to me when I've lived some life and I've done some things and I see what's really happening out here on these streets while we get on YouTube and we talk all these different things that we talk about in this space. We still got Black men being killed out here in these streets, whether you don't like what kind of Black man they are.
By Black men at 90% rate.
And check this out. And we got white people kill white people. Asian people kill
not
Asian
at the rate
people.
of Black men, and there's 6 times the number.
Do you know that? Fantastic.
I got you.
Did you know? No, fantastic. Did you know that the most of the domestic violence
Do you understand what I mean by not?
that has to do with guns?
Why are we jumping to domestic violence?
No, let me just say this. Most of the domestic disputes with guns in this country that are being executed by white society. White people actually kill each other more than Black people do. Numerically, yes, they do. Look at the FBI statistics, sir. Look at your FBI statistics.
Of course,
look at your FBI's. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue anymore. I'm not going to argue with you. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time.
Wait. Everybody
we like to use the argument that Black people are the only ones killing each other when all groups are killing each other. Okay,
Bernard,
but I'm not going to debate with you. You're nobody to debate with. Fantastic. You're beneath me. You're beneath me. You're beneath me. You're a simp that drives to women across the country and don't get no.
All right. I info. Listen, info, man. I know you're the real deal. You all getting it done in real life, doing what you can to help brothers in real life. I know how I do. I try to give as much, OG respect as possible, but sometimes OGs do get on here, go to wilding. But damn. Shout out to Son is Hot Rod. He made a damn good point. He says, no, J Speed, the reason there is no reward and punishment system among us is because you so-called elders didn't establish one for us to follow. At least the manosphere is trying to bring back shame.
And since me, I like that.
I gotta drop it. Yeah, I try to always say it's just hate. We just hate our skin color. We hate that we Black. We hate this. We hate that. When we are doing exactly what y'all are talking about, establishing a code of contact, bringing back a code of conduct, bringing back shame and all of that. We get called coons for it. So yeah. That's why I got a side eye. That's why I got a side eye. Anybody?
Can I address that, Mr. Fantastic?
Well, hold on. I was supposed to have. I had to go. Listen, man. And again, all respect to J Speed, man. Same thing for information, man. It's jokes, whatever. It's nothing personal. Listen, bro. This is the problem, and this is where we get back to where the old niggas are the problem. Okay, the old niggas are the problem. Y'all want to talk about how much life you lived and all of this shit and whatnot, what have you, and then you use that as the same bat to beat the head of everybody.
I wish you wouldn't call me an old nigga, Mr. Fantastic. I never disrespect you, and you know that. I don't fly with that one.
J Speed, you're right. So I redact that from you, sir. So all these old fellas, I respectfully, J Speed, I remember. You're right. My bad. But listen, this is what I'm saying, man. You guys use this. I live long to you. I live long to you. I live long to you. And bruh, stop. That don't. Man, that's the part of the problem. Y'all got these motherfucking racism nightmares and memories and shit.
that none of us don't know what the fuck y'all talking about. Look, bro, I ain't had no German Shepherds. I ain't had no water hoses. I ain't even had that many people call me nigger with the hard R. So listen, this is what I'm saying, man. I'm not saying that shit wasn't fucked up that happened to y'all. Cool. But hey, build a time machine, nigga. That's what I'm saying, bro. We can't change that. Y'all trying to hold us to the standard that y'all fucking experience that don't exist today. Okay? The same thing if you talk to your great granddaddy or your grandpops, it would be totally different. Again, bro, y'all didn't even go and y'all really like false claiming on some real shit because a lot of y'all didn't even have to go through this shit. Ain't none of y'all motherfuckers that's living now, bro, actually had a goddamn German Shepherd bite on your ass, okay? Or had to step off a fucking sidewalk for a white man and not look him in the eye. So come on, man, y'all gotta stop living vicariously through the generation before you, bro. We here now, today. And what we trying to fucking do now today is establish fucking power and stop focusing on some shit you can't change. I don't give a fuck about the history of the goddamn flag. Red, white, blue, green, clear, motherfucking psychedelic. I don't give a goddamn about none of that shit. Okay? How the fuck is talking about that flag from whatever the fucking origin may be going to change anything today? It's not. Okay? Let's start focusing on what the shit is really, what we can really change. You know how information man keep up here talking about, I'm doing this, I'm doing it. My nigga, you're 50 years old. I'm glad you ought to be done did a lot at 50. Congratulations. A lot of us trying to get there. So don't hop on fucking YouTube talking about how you doing shit off of YouTube while you on YouTube. You niggas on YouTube just doing shit on YouTube. Bruh, if you are an upstanding fucking black man that's not a felon, that's not a criminal, you're a father, you're an upstanding motherfucking beacon of fucking representation of the fucking black man in this country, you are doing something in that alone. Okay? You can get on the same internet you claim you not own, but you own, and articulate yourself and defend points and have a debate and discussion with anybody. You're doing more than fucking anything, bro. This ain't equity don't just equal actual fucking physical action no more, physical labor, bro. You're in the information age, information man. So if I'm on here, motherfucker, expressing information, actual facts, instead of motherfucker trying to finagle the bullshit for motherfuckers to keep making racist excuses as to why they can't be successful or all this other bullshit, bro. I'm doing a goddamn lot. And they don't even mention what I'm doing off the internet. So please miss me with that rap shit, bro.
All right, so Mr. Fantastic,
Okay,
Mr. Fantastic, you act as if you can't make love to your woman and tell her you love her at the same time. So that's what you telling me. We can't walk and chew gum at the same time. So number one, you should clarify what the fuck you when you come at me. Number one, you know who I am. Me and you don't talk in the back chat. Me and you have talked about things in back chat. I'm not a one-dimensional
only with
person.
niggas.
Only
with niggas.
Okay. I'm not a back chat person who just have one tunnel vision and what I think our movement should be. I give y'all all the ups. You know, I'm one of the first person who come in as an OG and says, you know what? We didn't do our job. We didn't do our job to the best of our ability. And that's why I got respect among the young people. So when you start aiming your arrow, please aim it at the right person. And number two, you say what thing. Let me finish.
Hold on, I'm just saying that I thought I did. I apologize. I corrected it, man, and I made sure that I did not offend you or apologize for my offenses to you. So everything you're saying about me addressing you, I did that already.
Okay. So let me wrap this up and land this helicopter. All right.
Real quick before he land the helicopter. Is that a saying, a phrase? Am I the only one who heard that for the first time? You act like you can't tell your woman you love her while making love to her. Is that? Did he just?
That's how shit come out of my mouth. I came to California to be a comedian. So if y'all didn't catch it, you didn't catch it.
No, I'm just trying to figure out, is that a thing that people say, or do you just freestyle that?
I freestyle that.
Okay,
I come up with my own quotes.
I never heard that one. Okay,
right, because that's what we act like. I give y'all younger generation. I'm one of the first one who say, look, I don't want to carry that torch. I really don't. It's y'all time. But when we have conversations as we have now, we're not trying. I'm not trying to get in front and give you a Martin Luther King or Malcolm X or Marcus Garvey speech. What I'm trying to say is there's mistakes we made, and there's going to be mistakes you going to make. But I'm just saying you can get a lot of source from history, which y'all are pretty much throwing on the back burners. I mean, you know, as far as Mr. Fantastic, you've been on panels when they say all old people should die. And I think you said that earlier. And so what I'm trying to say is we can do both, man. We can really do both. And so, you know, it's, you know, I was Malcolm X's birthday was yesterday. You know what I mean? And I listened to some of his speeches all day yesterday. And some of his speeches still is our problem today. So, you know, it's all about us trying to come together and understand each other and communicate. But, you know, just like I always say, Mr. Fantastic, you get a lot more from handing a person a bowl of honey versus a bowl of shit. And that's what happens on these channels sometimes.
Bowl of honey versus a bowl of shit. Well, OG Speed be wilding.
Okay.
Oh shit! Emancipated niggers. I thought that was Big Ike that came through. What you doing dropping that much money in here? I feel like
damn.
Okay, I almost said something wrong. Shout out to Emancipated Niggers. Said Jonathan Barronville. She coming hard at the 980s folks. She says, and that you should. Okay, it's look like that's a continuation of a comment. I mean, of a conversation, but she said, and that you should, because if we hadn't laid it out for you to be here and enjoy the opportunities that this country has to offer, yes, you should invest in ADO's companies. She responded to the previous super chat, and organizations. And while you're at it, why don't you tell your people to stop talking mess about mine? Thank you. Emancipated Niggers. I don't even know what to do. No woman has ever sent me that much damn money. I feel like I'm out there selling. No, never mind. All right. Appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you very much. Okay. I don't even know what to do. Somebody do that. The show is over. This and shut it down. I'm ready to go now.
Yeah, can I make my point?
Yeah, the snake man. Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to you. But yes, Emancipated Niggers, you just bought your wrench for damn near ever. You was leasing it, but now you own it. You own it. All right, cool.
I want to talk to the point why we have this argument like, oh, non-aiders shouldn't talk, or something like that, or you old niggas didn't. This all comes back to one thing. Basically, not we, because I'm not an aiders person, you don't have power to enforce your rules. That's the problem. Because okay, you can, like the one guy's I think Little Big Nate said, oh, the one guy was angry about because he was a Confederate flag on his car. Yes, other people get angry too. I live in Europe. You know how many times European, the normal people, not the state, hit each other and try to kill each other because of symbols that are 1,000 years in the past. So it's nothing special about black people. Oh, you get emotional. That is you are a human being. Everyone gets emotional about things, especially about symbols and also things that happened in the past. That makes you human. The only thing I wanted to say is the problem isn't the difference. Other groups, when they're angry and they're emotional, they don't go to some channel and talk about it openly. Oh, I'm angry about it. They use the power they have and enforce the punishment. That's why you can not talk on YouTube about the people of Che. You cannot talk about them because they enforce laws to say everyone that talks about us bad will get banned, get business removed. Basically, you can be angry. That's all good. That's all good. All good. But don't talk about it. Get the power and then later punish a person. And yes, if you must do business, you can do business with people you don't like. But because you must not be emotional about it. But when the business runs out, after you got what you got, you can then enact your revenge or your punishment or your reparation, everything you want to do. Basically, what I wanted to say is get power first, also shit later. That is how the other groups are doing it. If you want to be like the other groups, do it like that. Get power first, revenge comes later.
All right. Anybody want to say something? I get the feeling that he said something that I normally would respond to, but I was distracted by the chat room. But yeah, so I'm letting it ride.
I mentioned in one of the super chat. You missed one of my super chats, Bernard, but I'd like to invest in your show. So
go ahead. Yeah, who's that? JB?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wait, hold on. Trying to find your super chat. I can't see shit now. It's going. What did it essentially say? You're talking about how you're is that the one that said? I think I saw it. It said something about your non-ADOS, but you invest in ADOS endeavors or whatever because we all black. That's something like that's the gist of what you were saying.
Yeah, so basically, I was actually saying that I actually just while they were going on, I did the math, right? I did the math, and just last month, I invested a total of $46,558 in ADOS black men specifically.
How much? Say that number again. How much was that?
$46,558.
God damn.
So yeah, so I just in April, and I have the receipt for it. By the way, if you'd like, I can send you some receipts. So
I mean you could do that, but I don't necessarily need you to do that. I mean, I have a different take when it comes to that. Like for example, there was a guy who used to hop on panels, and I think he was disingenuous and he used to say a lot of BS when it came to he was non-ADOS, but he was talking about ADOS issues, and he was kind of a troll about it. But in general, I don't draw that hard line that a lot of people do, because a lot, like Fatal Dose, for example, he's been here as a kid. He's black. I'm sorry. I look at it as the same, mostly as, pretty much the same, even though I will listen to your mouth and hear the words that are coming out of your mouth. And if you're saying some absolute bullshit, and then I'll just take what you said on his merits as bullshit. But
Bernard,
go ahead, Fantastic.
Listen, bro. A lot of the fucking niggas. Excuse me. I gotta calm down. Excuse me. Hold on. A lot of the illustrious black people we celebrate during Black History Month are not ADOS. Okay, a lot of them. Some of them are non-ADOS. Some of them are mixed. A lot of them are mixed. So come on, man, stop. Black people cannot afford. Again, going off what the previous dude said, bro. When you don't have power, you can't eliminate your forces, man. Some of y'all, everybody know everything about job, but somehow y'all niggas don't know shit about military strategy. Okay, there's power in numbers. So trying to say, oh nigga, you weren't born here, you Haitian, you Jamaican, you this. My nigga, okay, do you know that you Haitian, Jamaican, or somewhere from the Caribbean, nigga, at some point in time, more likely than not, that's where they shipped your black ass from. All right, so you that too. All right, bro, we got to get away from this bullshit of us and them against people, like you said, bro. When the cop pulling the motherfucker over, unless they got that heavy ass accent, you just another nigga.
Yep.
Right, bro. Until we get to the point of where we got power established, we don't, you can't, beggars can't be choosers. All right, and niggas trying to act like they somehow better or different or whatever. Listen, man, I done had too many conversations with too many people. Y'all niggas want to tell everybody they ain't ADOS, but y'all want to claim y'all African. Then make your mind up, guys. Appreciate you, bro. I'm gonna make sure I hit you on the Cash App as usual, bro. Have a great one. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Fantastic. And I'm with them. If somebody is non-ADOS and they just saying some outright bullshit, then we will address the bullshit. But just in general, being non-ADOS, I don't just completely just give you a down vote just because of that. So that's where I'm at with Jessica. Get out of there.
Bernard, I kind of
real quick. Shout out to Jessica.
What do we get for $10? Everything you want. Everything. You.
Please click on all the super chats. I haven't been able to read them. It's hard to read them when the conversation is getting real intense. Don't be activating no rumors out here. I don't even know what that is. Hilder killed everyone who did not agree. Oh, Hitler. That's what I think. Oh,
yep.
I think that's what he meant. Yeah. But anyway, shout out to everybody who's been supporting the show. Y'all be wildin'. Y'all literally cracked me up today.
Hi, I'm Snuggle. Snuggly softness.
Snuggles is non-ADOS. I got a lot of non-ADOS supporters. I got people. I forgot Jonathan Barronville, who's a JB. I forgot that he was non-ADOS. I don't even be knowing who's ADOS and who's not. And then people support me. So I mean, look, I don't get caught up over that. I really don't. I don't lose sleep over that.
But
Shout out
you know,
to
what's funny?
let's have a 8os, non-8os conversation sometimes this week,
That
so
will
we
be
can
not a long
hash
debate.
things out, so we can move on. Maybe I might come. Snuggles talking about getting on the panel. That should be funny. That should be funny.
Bernard, you know what? You know what's funny, Bernard? I think what's interesting is I get the most. I get so much crap from the ADOS folks online. That's why I actually don't take it so seriously, because I deal with ADOS men obviously like on a daily basis every day, right?
Yeah.
It's like I have great interactions with ADOS, man. They're just brothers to me. I look at them like my brother. So it's kind of interesting to me, like online, this ADOS thing. And the thing is, like, you know, I think in terms of the actual topic in the history, they have a point, right? Like that ADOS folks have a special, unique claim, right? Like I'm completely on board with that. I think it's just common sense is common sense, right? I'm on board with history. I'm on board with common sense. I'm on board with, even on the topic of reparations, I have my own perspective on it, but it's at the end of the day, it's not up to me. I'm not ADOS. So even if those reparations, I don't deserve any reparations in America. Like that's something to take up with France, right? The point I'm making is it's interesting to see like a lot of the pushback that I see is always online, but I'm having productive interactions with, productive black men.
That's the thing.
Like all day, every day.
You're right. In real life, it doesn't come up. It literally does not come up in real life. So
but with that, the most live with that, because every time I make a point that no one can refute, they always type some shit into chat like, "Who makes a tall man or talks for Arnold Schwarzenegger?" And I think to myself, man, these niggas truly are pathetic.
Don't now you about to cross the line because your accent too thick. Your accent too thick to say niggas. But anyway, I'm just.
No, did you come up with that on the fly?
I ain't gonna front. You saying it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right. Yeah. But anyway. But that was shout out to Gamer Lives Matter. He says that was the most. Oh yeah, I did see your super chat. I just kept it moving because I wasn't trying to come at OG speed. But he did say that talking about what OG said. He said that was the most simping thing I've ever heard. I can tell you I love you while making love. What the F, my man?
It's probably simp. It's probably wait. It's probably simp to him because y'all overuse that word a lot. Anytime, I
agree.
Today you would call Malcolm X a simp. Today you would call Elijah Muhammad a simp. I mean, come on now. Let's be honest. That's a new word y'all using, but y'all really don't even understand it because you overuse it. So you know what I mean? If a man taking care of his family and he has a wife and he's doing pretty good and he's not in a miserable zone like you, he's a simp. Because you can't.
I gotta disagree. No. Hey, let me jump into that.
I don't like when people just go after nameless, faceless chat room niggas. Or maybe some people have jumped on some panels and said that, but that ain't the view over here. That ain't the view over here. I'm very pro family. I'm very pro family.
Okay, so then we on the same page. We on the same page because a lot of times when people start discussing their families and stuff, then they have a right to do it as a person who's going through a traumatic experience in a relationship. When men start discussing their family, it triggers people who are in a traumatic relationship or been into a traumatic relationship, and they start calling them kind of guys simps. Because they don't have that experience. And you know, Bernard, as much as I know, that's been used a lot on these black YouTube streets.
Chat room, can I say who like to bastardize good points that content creators make those points. And so when people be responding to the manosphere, and by responding to the manosphere, they're responding to nameless, faceless chat room niggas. I don't like that. I like if you're gonna challenge somebody's argument, take on the best example of that argument. So I would prefer if people, when they challenge the sphere, challenge the direct words that come directly out of the content creator's mouth, and not with Firefly 69 said in the chat. Like that's where it get goofy to me.
Hey Bernard, can I say something? I gotta vehemently disagree with this brother saying Malcolm X would have been considered a simp. Malcolm X would have never ever accepted the behavior of black people as they are today. So do not come with that speaking on behalf of Malcolm X with that madness. You want to accept that behavior and make excuses for them? Don't use Malcolm X's name on that, bro. He would have never accepted that. He didn't accept it back then, and he wouldn't accept it today.
Just because you wearing a bow tie, brother, don't get me confused. I was in the Nation of Islam for 21 years, so don't get it twisted.
I was never in the Nation of Islam.
Listen again. Listen again. Don't get it twisted, my brother.
I was never
in the Nation of Islam because they murdered. Then you ought to leave that alone. I have a right to say about Malcolm X.
You don't right to say
anything. You can say what you want.
Okay, then.
You can say what you want.
Don't put words in my mouth. That's I never say I accept the behavior of our bad behaviors in the neighborhood until I say that.
Say it.
Okay. I say it on my channel all the time. Go check it out sometime, my brother. I'm on here with this discussion.
But you were just up here talking about.
I was up here talking about.
Hold on, real quick, JB. I'm late and kind of slow, but I do see with you the email. I mean, the super chat where you said that you would like to officially invest in my show. Hit my email. We'll talk. We'll probably even exchange numbers and see what we can do. See what we can come up with. But yeah, definitely.
Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen.
Definitely hit me up on that. We'll talk. We'll talk. We'll do it like that. We'll talk. But all right. We went round and round. We started out today talking with the Confederate flag guy who I gave an interview. He actually got a lot of conservative points that a lot of us will agree with. I think he's trolling. It's 50-50 with kind of trolling with the flag. Plus, he's talking about regional pride and heritage and this and that. I don't know. I think the flag is kind of a troll that draw people in, and then you have the conversations with him that he want to have. I think that's more or less what's going on with the brother. But shout out to him. Shout out to Ricky Manor. Y'all can go sub to him if you want to. I know a lot of y'all wasn't feeling him, but that was just going to acknowledge my my special guest today, and then we moved on to a lot of issues, talked about history, talked about this, talked about that, and went round and round. And I see nowhere else this conversation can go. We 4 hours in, so we about to get the hell up out of here. Special thanks and shout out to JB, Jonathan Barronville. And I be forgetting that JB and Jonathan Barronville are the same person. I left you in the back chat forever. I would have brought you up if I would have knew it was you. But shout out to you, and definitely email me so we can talk. Shout out to E Capone, just came through at the buzzer with a $5 super chat. Shout out to last but not least, Emancipated Negress, who the show was brought to you today by Emancipated Negress, who just earned her wrench forever. She was leasing it, now she own it. Shout out to you. She dropped that $300 super chat on me. I don't even know how to act right now. So I appreciate when people show that much love to the show and to the platform. Appreciate all of you. And with that said, we are out of here. Peace.